That. There we go. Yeah, we're going. Morning, everyone out there. Carl, Steve, Death, Sam, Fred, Little Wolf, Brian, Bevtard, Muppet. Death, Steve. Yeah, we haven't been, we weren't on last week, sorry folks. Paul's put out he's the author of several popular books and follows in Feynman's footsteps working at Caltech. He is S somebody C. We'll see here. See how many peanuts can guess that one.
It's an easy one, Terry.
BC. I mean SC. SC is an author.
Carl Edwardson, the brain is on strike.
Yeah, we're all here. You're all there?
This Japanese whiskey is actually quite nice.
Okay. Is it sweet or a different type of?
No. It's a full blown Scotch whiskey type thing.
Okay.
He learned his whiskey. This guy learned his whiskey making skills in Scotland, so it's actually quite good. At $120 a bottle, it should be all right.
Bloody hell.
Yeah, you're gonna save every sip.
But I'd rather get a good whiskey and enjoy it than a cheap whiskey and not.
Well, is that a cheap whiskey like you'd buy at Aldi's or something?
Yeah. I watched a YouTube video the other day. This guy, he got a cheap whiskey and he redistilled it.
Oh, yeah, I've seen that. Yeah, how'd he go?
And he come up with a colourless liquid that looked like vodka but tasted kind of like whiskey, and then he had the caramelised sort of leftover colours and flavours left in the bottom, so he poured in a bottle of vodka into that, and it come up looking like whiskey but not really tasting like whiskey.
Yeah, I seen that come up on me recommended, and I went, oh, I wonder how that'd go.
Yeah.
What have we got here? We might do it. Where are we? Where is he? I know he's here somewhere. We've missed him for a few weeks, so gonna have to find where we're up to. Go to his channel. Okay, we're way back there. We've got Enoch and the Flat Earth. Enoch Earth. Then he's got Isaiah. And I think I might miss those few. I think we'll stick to describe gravity for flat earthers. He's going to be waving his hand around a lot in that one.
Yeah.
Okay, we might go to the next one then. If he's just going to sit there and wave his hands around, that's not going to help. We've got to have the whiteboard.
Good idea. Go on, go for a 27-minute one. Why not?
Yeah, this one.
27:13.
Yeah.
Paul, when I was bimbling around in Norwich on Tuesday taking photos, I accidentally found the whiskey shop I
Yeah,
wish
then
I
what
had
did you
some
do?
money to spend in there.
Did you go in?
I didn't spend. Of course, I went in. I might have to.
Yes, Steve, we're going to talk about Ranty. I'm going to watch Conspiracy Cat's original video with Ranty, where he came out. Well, that's the debatable part. Did he or didn't he? Okay. What do we need? There we go. Here's your favourite, Lindsay.
Welcome to my little dungeon on flat earth science. I've replaced the lights, but they didn't help. It actually got worse.
He's dungeon.
Put these extra lights here to try and light the place up. It's still nowhere as good as anywhere else in the house, but this is where I operate. Today, this is going to be a world first. I don't think you've ever come across a flat earther who's trying to explain how Venus works on the flat earth, because no one knows the proper flat earth model. I've got the only flat earth model, so everything works with it. They can't debunk it.
No.
They can argue.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true. We can't debunk it. We can't debunk it because we don't know what the hell's going on.
Yeah. Figure out what you're talking about first.
About it because they have their BS and they made everything suit the ball.
Oh, that's not nice, Death.
Really, no, they can't, because it all adds up to reality. If you haven't seen my previous videos, go check them out. But what I have to do
Carl said, I'm going to jump, I swear I am.
My theory or naming positions of our seasons. Now, all along I've been using these terms here, aphelion and perihelion. I know scientists have taken some original words and used them on their spinning ball over the years. So I thought that must be the terms I should be using to represent the southern summer when the sun's down facing out that way, and I'll put aphelion up here for the northern summer.
Wrong.
And all along they're the wrong terms compared to science. I thought they would have to do with my flat earth analogy. But really, I've come across, I understood these with the moon, so I should have been using these all along, apogee and perigee. So perigee being the closest to Earth. So this should be the southern summer, perigee, and it goes back up there, it comes back in, the sun comes back in, only goes as far as the equator, then it's less to equator. Otherwise down here it goes right out to 45 degrees south. That's the southern, that's the solstice. December solstice.
But
up here is July, isn't it?
But
between July.
that's just
July.
wrong.
Northern. So that's apogee. It's seasonal changes.
Stop
Egyptians
a
knew all
minute,
about
Terry.
what I've been explaining.
That's just so wrong. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, he's got no comprehension of what perihelion and aphelion actually are. All they are is the closest and furthest distance from the sun during the orbit. It's got nothing to do with waving your arms up and down like you're doing a wind waggle over a conning tower or something.
and it's got nothing to do with the seasons either, has it?
No, that's right.
Because
These are 23.4 degree elliptics over the season, because inside the magnetic vortex, the centre of the Earth, the magnetic vortex here turning every day. So the sun is going around every day because the sun's right inside there, and it follows these magnetic fields. And because it's a vortex, the magnetic planes are on this angle because they're winding up, and they come back down, wind back down, wind up.
You're winding us up.
Fixed in this magnetic field.
Are you sure he's not a Poe that's just winding everybody up?
Yeah, he's winding
I don't
it. He's
think
winding
Really
it.
long game.
I do think he really believes the shit that he talks about.
I still want to hear about daytime, nighttime from Lindsay.
That we cannot see. It's outside our realm. We're created out here. It's a donut.
We created it.
In this part here. Right down there is the North Arctic Centre. Place of inaccessibility that no one's actually been to. Not sure how wide it is.
Apparently we're driving Jinsu to drink.
You've got south out here we can't get to.
Yeah.
And start this collapsing, falling apart because we just can't get, it's like a magnetic field. You cannot get through it. So there we have it. The Egyptians are showing us, see, this is the sun, see? Follows these magnetic field lines. It's
not a
northern
Gaussian
summer,
physics.
southern summer. So from now on I'm going to call it apogee,
You called it the
perigee,
field on the Gaussian physics.
not perihelion and aphelion. So bear that in mind. Now Venus, what are we saying here? We've got something up here. The flat Earth, we do not live on a ball and we do not move around the sun. So when science starts telling you that we revolve around the sun, it's pure garbage and they send you right down the wrong track. Earth, sun is up here, it turns in here. 24/7. The sun goes around the Earth every day. Earth does not go around the sun. As the sun travels around the Earth every day, it is slowly tilting either up to apogee or slowly down to perigee, the southern summer solstice, because the sun follows the tilting magnetic fields within the central vortex. It's a vortex. It's going like this, 24/7.
That doesn't make sense to me. It's like the ecliptic plane of the sun would have to be actually rotating as it went around for the sun to be low in the sky all the way around the disk. For everyone to see it on different continents, to be low in the sky. It wouldn't just be on one plane. Make room for Big Blue.
G'day, mate.
Hey, mate.
G'day, Blue.
What's going on?
Our favourite flirper.
Yeah. Yeah, I see.
He says the sun goes around on an ecliptic plane, but to me that'd have to be wobbling as it went around to get the sun to be, because he's saying for the seasons. Yeah, okay.
Ever so slowly.
Shit.
Everything in here is ever so slowly.
Just don't try to make sense out of it.
Okay. Yeah, I thought I was getting a headache nearly then.
Yeah,
Right
I
in
was
there,
getting a headache, but I've got my distance glasses on, not the reading glasses on.
Son,
No wonder I'm
this is what the
struggling.
Egyptians have shown us again. In this diagram here with the pyramids and Cairo.
Death wanted to know we're discussing turbo encabulators or turbochargers.
The 5-step pyramid de jour there. It represents the sun up there. And as we are down here, we get to see Venus and Mercury.
Didn't I used to speed this up a bit because he
The other
speaks too
planets are
slow?
further out. They're missing the sun.
Yeah.
So we don't get to see them pass in front of the sun. They're out here.
Yeah.
That's how they work. Otherwise you can go with this idea. And the sun back in there and the planets out here, whatever. And this is the best way to understand your visuals. If you're standing down here, that's how you see it. It's too close to the sun. Now, we're going to talk about Venus and its cycles. Can't be debunked. It's quite easy to explain, really, if I can get it out properly.
No, this is his ocular
Now,
theory mechanism.
Realise, this is the cosmic egg, the actual cosmic egg, where the sun sits. This is the black hole. That is the black hole, circular, but because the sun has been created inside the black hole there, from the action, the dual system, around the perimeter.
No, pause. He says the sun is being created inside the black hole. Well, if it's a black hole, that sort of like implies that light can't get out. That's the whole thing about a black hole, isn't it? I mean, so if the sun's inside the black hole, how can we see it?
I thought that's why they called it a black hole.
Yeah.
It'd be a light hole if it wasn't. It'd be a white hole.
Did he say that elliptical thing there is circular? I don't know.
No, that's an egg.
No, okay.
My videos before you realise this is the cosmic egg, the actual cosmic egg.
It's a cosmic egg. I don't know if he stole it off Riley or Riley stole it off him.
Sits. This is the black hole.
Professor Phil wants to know, are there any mammary glands yet?
Not.
Hole, circular, but because the sun has been created inside the black hole there, from the action, the dual system, around the perimeter, the two spinning fields, the spinning field that way, and the spinning field comes up that way, and bang, they meet and create the voltage, which is the sun. You call it plasma if you want. But, just like an electrical circuit down here, build up the current, and you get a cross current, bang, you get the voltage. That's our sun. So it's bang inside the black hole here, and then the sun moves around 24/7 every day. It turns like this. So because it's the back of the black hole's
Could you
here.
just stop a second, Terry. I have to read Sabre Eagle's thing. The sun has been created inside the black hole there. Error. Variable IQ is out of range.
Out here.
That was it.
It's projected across the black hole. Out that way. So there's daylight. This is the back of the sun. Night time.
What the actual fuck did he just say?
Play that again. I missed that.
That's why I paused it.
Go back.
I did.
Back of the black hole's here. Daylight is out here. It's projected across the black hole. Out that way. So there's daylight. This is the back of the sun. Night time.
Yeah, back of the sun, night
There's the
time.
planets around.
Look at the sun's night time.
Oh my God.
And we can't see it because it's a black hole.
Yeah.
Makes perfect sense.
Insert daytime, nighttime meme here.
Oh God.
Daytime, nighttime.
Yeah.
Oh my God. So it's not that the sun's not in the sky, it's just that we're looking at the back of the sun.
Yeah.
They're not on elliptics. They're just the position, the shape of the sun and black hole make them appear to be on elliptics.
What?
You see, it's further away at this point. All of a sudden it's in the sun's glare right there, right in front of the sun. But around here, it's very close again, and it comes away. That's what gives science the appearance that they're doing elliptics, moving further away from the back, lining up with the sun. To do with this, nothing to do with these out here. Anyway, back to Venus. So I've drawn Venus there, right? So let's say, now Venus moves ever so slowly. It moves with the sun, with the black hole, at the speed of the sun. So the sun's turning every day, so is Venus. But the sun being at the centre of the cosmos, its projection, it moves quicker than every other body out there. It's the centre. So the sun, even though Venus and the sun move at the same pace, but pretty well, the sun moves out a little bit quicker.
Pretty well.
So you can imagine there's daylight, it's the sunny side. Draw the sun here. We'll draw the sun there, put the sun in red. We don't get too confused. There's
Was he going to modify?
Oh,
sun.
He's got to modify it now.
lost that, haven't you?
The actual sun's back
Pause
here,
for a
but
moment,
that's-
Terry. I think he said, let's not get too confused. I think he's just completely gone past that opportunity.
yeah.
Yeah. And he's really going to explain how Venus works. Is he going to explain the phases of Venus as well, do you think? And what causes it to have phases?
And he said the sun was the center of the universe, right? And then he
Yeah.
said that the sun, because of that, moves faster than everything else. Like, how does that figure? I
Well,
don't get it.
I thought it was all just spinning around in his magical North Pole vortex anyway.
Yeah.
It's getting projected across the black hole. Let's go up to Venus and start at night, shall we? So, basically, Venus is a moon. Like all the planets, they're electrons. They act like the moon. They all fade.
No!
What?
All planets are electrons, apparently.
Yeah.
Hang on, how the hell did we get nearly 10 minutes in already?
So the sun's a nucleus, and the planets are just electrons orbiting around the nucleus, are they?
Yeah.
What kind of an atom are we in?
I don't know. What atom has 9 electrons?
Oh, is it 9 or 8, Alan?
There it might be only 8.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, because we've now discovered stuff that we don't call planets that's bigger than the planet, bigger than Pluto.
Brimfondle said Lemonbird presented a diagram that was as eccentric as this on Jose's and Saturday. At 1 hour 6 minutes, it explains LB's magical refraction.
It's in and out as they go around the black hole. And science wants you to think they're being illuminated by the sun. But that's not correct. What you've got to get your head around is the fact that everything out here is a projection. Everything is projection. Out in our realm is a projection from in here. Whatever's projected out
From
here
what?
will affect another projection.
Yeah, how?
based
How
on
does
here.
it project?
Yeah, from what?
Yeah.
Please
Are we talking
explain.
about projection using? Are we talking about projection using mirrors or lenses or what?
Or eggs?
I think we're talking about projection using magic magnetic field lines.
Now, don't get too technical, Alan.
Now I was thinking,
However-
like, I was thinking if he's claiming that the planets are like electrons, then that makes the solar system a fluorine atom, right, with nine electrons. So it'd be highly reactive. So we're either going to want to get rid of one planet, or we're going to have to gain another planet to fill the outer shell, right? So that's the whole reason why NASA declassified Pluto as a planet, because they want to get rid of the 9th planet to fill the outer shell, make it only 8 planets.
Ah, that's what it is.
Because that stabilizes the solar system into a into an oxygen atom then. So there you go.
Yeah.
They're all good questions,
we're
Carl.
still behind
They're all
reactor
good.
and everything,
They're all
which
good
is
questions,
what's-
Carl and Sabeagle.
And what's going around the sun? What's going around in here? Let's put this centre there, that's centre there. So, where was I going around?
Where
the
were you?
sun? Around the sun, around the sun.
You're talking about Venus.
Lost myself already. Okay,
Back to Venus.
moon phasing. That's right.
Oh,
Venus.
Paul, Elvis has an entry for your mystery person.
Oh, who has?
Elmix, the Elmix.
Okay, he mustn't have highlighted me. Let's see where he is.
No, he tagged me instead. Was today's mystery person
okay.
Sean Carroll?
It is indeed. That is the
Ah.
correct person. Yes.
Yeah. Oh, Blue missed out on that to guess that one. Did you know who that was, Blue?
Being a
Oh, that was the question for the mystery person.
Like the moon, it phases. So what happens is it's following the sun all the time, but slowly the sun is getting ahead of it, just like the sun gets ahead of the moon, our moon. It gets ahead of every other planet. So eventually, what's happening with Venus is it works opposite to our moon. So our moon, at new moon, is directly in front of the face of the sun. You cannot see it; it's dissolved. The moon forms a skin. You've got to get that in your head. And it dissolves as it gets close to the sun. It goes neutral because the sun's positive. And then when the moon winds away from the sun, closer to Earth, it's going positive because Earth is negative. It's in previous videos. But anyway, so when the moon winds up to the sun, it phases away and disappears into the face of the sun as they both turn together in the broad daylight. You don't see the moon for 2.2 days before the sun finally gets ahead of it, and then the moon comes out as a crescent and then starts its monthly cycle again. Well, Venus works in exactly the opposite way. Its full moon is in broad daylight. Its neutral is behind the sun at night. That's how it works. So there's night time at the back here. So once Venus is behind the moon, behind the sun, it's phased out, neutral. You cannot see it at night. That's why we don't see it at night. And because it's always moving with the sun, always stuck there at night. But eventually, the sun is racing ahead of it. So, I'll do this again. So there's all night time in this half. So it's neutral, and finally it starts coming out with a crescent, and it's new moon, and that's when it starts appearing early in the morning, just before sun up. So sun up, let's say 6 a.m. there, sun up, but just before it, say there, it starts being seen. Okay, right up until dawn, and then as daylight comes in, you'll no longer see it in the glare of the sun, obviously. So remember, it's always moving together. So it takes a lot of these daily cycles of.
What's that?
Sorry, I went there. I said, oh, so it's up the crack of dawn.
You know,
it's a very bad joke.
Yeah, it is.
Race ahead of Venus. So over the weeks, months or weeks and weeks and weeks, it's slowly moving around because the sun is moving away from it. And
how many weeks?
Full Venus moon is bang on broad daylight. So you never see it. We never see those phasings. And then it's going to start waning over a long period of time. And it's broad daylight, and then you start coming into evening. So it's phased right down now. Now you're going to start seeing in the evening sky after the sun set. And look, see? And the maximum we get to see it before it completely disappears is only about 3 months, I think, to about this point. And then all through that it's disappeared, so you don't see it at night. That's how it works. All those months, and then finally, new moon starts coming out a little bit. You see it in the morning sky, night sky, just here, before daylight hides it. That's how it works. Pretty straightforward on a flat earth. So imagine that. All going on in there.
But what shape is Venus to get the phase? I want to know what shape I want to know what physical form he thinks Venus has in order for Venus to show a phase.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I know the audience can't see it, but I've just taken myself up with a photograph of a very crescent Venus. You know,
Get it out,
so
like a
it's
clock.
Looks obviously spherical to me.
Yeah.
Clock arm, like the sun. Imagine the sun's direct frequencies all the way around like a clock. That's how it works. Pretty straightforward.
Direct frequency.
So, I'll read you some stuff I've got on the phone here from science.
Oh, here we go.
Where that came from? What's that?
This is his research.
Photos. Okay, the last photo was Venus. 224.8 Earth days. So the Earth has to go around 224 times before Venus does its one full cycle.
No.
No.
What?
Oh no.
What?
Stop.
No.
That's not what that means, Lindsay.
No. Venus goes round once in 224 point whatever it was days.
Yeah, Earth
Yeah.
days. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought there was something wrong there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Paul,
Yeah.
I was just using day as our usual,
Yeah.
days, hours.
I mean,
years, days, hours, minutes, seconds business.
yeah. Did he really say that Earth had to go around 224 times before
Yeah.
Venus went
Venus
around
went
once?
around once.
Oh
Yeah.
my God.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah,
he
really said
did
that.
say that. Yeah.
And no, now look, I was asking this question. What time of the year
Hey,
is Venus'
stop,
greatest
just a
elongation?
minute. How can we go round the sun if the Earth is flat and the sun's going round above the flat bloody Earth?
Yeah.
Well, you can't get everything right.
Yeah, I was just going to say that.
Mr. Contradict yourself.
Okay, the last photo was Venus. 224.8 Earth days. So the Earth has to go around 224 times before Venus does its one full cycle.
No, yeah, you did say that. Oh my God.
And no, now look, I was asking this question. What time of the year is Venus' greatest elongation over its 8-year cycle? And if you've been following me and you know all about this, you're thinking you're going to realise, like I've just said before, that goes all the way up to 45 degrees south, this December solstice. That's going to be the furthest elongation in these elliptics here.
Hang on. The sun is only setting at 45 degrees south to you because of your latitude. If you go further south, the sun will go further bloody south at the solstice until, of course, you reach the Arctic Circle, at which point it doesn't even hit the bloody horizon, does it?
No.
So it will go all the way around to due south, unless you get all the way to the actual South Pole, in which case it then just goes round and round you in big circles. Sorry, ran over.
Elliptic tilt magnetic fields right out here. The sun's going to be projected right out to here. So I'm thinking, well, that means Venus's longest elongation will be in summer, the southern summer. So I put the question in there. Sure enough, you cannot debunk this whole model. The answer is 8th of November, 6th of November, right out there, because these elliptical tilts, the planets follow on these elliptical tilts. And that same elliptical tilt is where the sun is projected. Its frequencies are projected out. Light is frequencies. It all sits on all the atmospheric layers here. 7 atmospheric layers out here of gaseous different pressures.
Just pause it for a moment. He's just lying through his teeth now, because the greatest elongation of Venus is not in December or whatever he said. It's actually March the 24th, which is nowhere near the southern summer. He's just got it wrong.
Yeah.
All that up.
Could you just remind me what the elongation actually is?
The elongation is the greatest angle between the sun and Venus. So if you
Okay.
look at the sun and then measure the angle between the sun and Venus subtended at you, that's the elongation.
Okay.
Up to the, the light, all containing the light spectrum, our light spectrum, all add up to a sun disk that sits on the top from where we see from down here. So there you go. It says note that each event occurs on November the 6th, and they're spaced 8 years apart, because as it's like that, it's also turning like this. The whole thing's turning like this. So it winds up and winds down over the year. So you've got to imagine this angle, where it is, this position over the year. Well, after 8
That
years
doesn't explain the.
happening at that, hitting that long elongation, that point. You've got to understand how it works. The sun's up here, and it's going to be pointing down there. That's now, I have to call perigee. Perigee. Right out.
No.
No.
As it slowly moves up. It's not
No.
going to be right at anymore. It's not going to be at elongation. Anywhere up here. It's going to have to wait till you come back down to here again to meet at the precise place. You've got to, you know, Venus has to be in that location. It could be around here somewhere at this stage. You know, up here, but in 8 years' time it's back facing down there, lining up. Get that out of the way. What? Elliptical.
Hang on. I must push myself away from the desk to prevent face desking.
Apogee and perigee, yeah. Okay. Venus will pass very close to the sun and the sky as its orbit carries it between the sun and Earth. See, forget that. It's nothing built between the sun and Earth. So you've got to imagine that it's you. You're looking from Earth up. Get rid of Earth between the planets after Venus. Pure garbage. It's really hard to do these videos when everyone thinks they live on a spinning ball. So you've got to try and understand the spinning ball garbage so you can relate it back to this. And it gets pretty complicated because they're two totally different. You get people to understand. You cannot transition some dude within even an hour or two from believing he lives on a spinning ball to flat Earth. It's got to go in segments. I tried my best the other night at the party. He's gone away thinking, that's for sure. But I can't be debunked. You put anything to me, we're going to spinning ball, I'll show you how it works on the flat Earth.
You can't do that because he won't let anyone discuss anything with him.
What are we up to?
It's a
That's
shame,
what Venus
really,
looks
isn't
like.
it?
Yeah.
It's nothing. As they just say, it's covered in cloud.
Well, that's one way of claiming you can't debunk it. If he doesn't want to defend his own model.
Now, if you go to this BS site of NASA's NASA site, it's got science, more science. It's NASA, Venus. Oh, I've lost track. This goes over. We're doing this over several days and 4 attempts. It's pretty tricky to remember everything off the top of your head.
I'll have to read Blue's thing out. I think Lindsay was smacked in the head by a chunk of prefamulated amulite when his starving bearing ceased. It's hard to
Oh,
read.
yes, because the turbo encapsulator it features prefabulated amulite and spaving bearing barriers, doesn't it? Oh, he does talk to. Hey, maybe if we could tell him that he could talk to Professor Phil, he might come because apparently he does respond to Professor Phil sometimes.
Yeah, Phil. You're definitely not a Mickey Mouse channel, that's for sure. As the quote from Lindsay.
Well, maybe Professor Phil might tempt him onto your channel, Terry.
Yeah, well, Phil, you'll have to put a comment in under his latest video and say yes. I'd like to discuss your model, inverted commas, with you.
But anyway, NASA has a site on Venus full of absolute garbage about volcanoes and this, all this stuff all over the planet, when the other sites will just tell you, no, you can't see it, it's blank, which is truthful. So, what have we got here? Orbits the Sun. Oh, lots happened between me starting to do this. Here we go. Let's get back here. Yeah, right. With the telescope. Even the most modest of telescopes immediately reveal that Venus does not have the same characteristics of a star. The planet either looks like a disk or a crescent. So we do not see full moon, Venus, or neutral moon. We just see those two sides, either morning star or the evening star, as crescents before it starts going. to its full moon or before it's going neutral. The planet either looks like a disk or a crescent with its...
If it looks like a duck, walks like a duck.
Say it's like a miniature moon. I need these other glasses. As for its surface, there is unfortunately not much to see, for Venus is constantly shrouded by a thick white cloud, which do not reveal any significant details. However, these clouds are what makes Venus...
They've sent a probe there, haven't they? They found that the surface is solid.
Several.
Terry, they've done quite a considerable amount of 3D radar mapping.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
In fact, over most of the surface in fairly good detail. I mean, almost as good detail as we did of the Earth.
Yeah.
I mean, the first few probes melted
They
pretty.
landed a few probes on it too. Yeah.
Yeah, the first few probes melted pretty quickly once they'd landed, but you know they got better at it.
Yeah, that's what I read about something. If they did ever send something, this is like hypothetical. If they could send something there to, if humans wanted to be there, we'd have to have something in low Earth orbit or very close, in the cloud band, maybe in that area or something. Though, I know it was scientific, but science fiction-y, but not on the surface. A little bit too warm.
Yeah, it's one of the
Like
most
900
hostile
degrees
environments
on
of
the
all the
surface.
planets. Yeah, one of the most hostile environments of all the planets. Not only is it hot, but it's extremely acidic and stuff as well.
Hmm.
Well, and the pressure is about 100 times what we experience.
Yep, because it's all CO2.
Venus shines so
Hot
bright,
enough to melt my balls.
The lead ones? Them too?
brightly and remarkable. That's one side. We'll go here. Tiny shifts in the apparent position. The new release offers measurements of what sideways motion for all 1.3 billion stars, plus radial, I don't know what that was referring to, rather than moving circles.
Careful, Lindsay.
Oh man, I can get organised.
Yeah.
Words and shit.
Mm.
Oh, I've lost
The
some of
thing
mine.
is, he's reading actual
Right,
real
that's-
stuff about the planet, isn't he?
Interesting stuff to read here.
Yeah,
So
but
he's liable to say stuff he doesn't really want.
yeah.
You really should pick. You really should go pick your cherries before you come on, not read through it and try and find them while you're going.
Yeah, that doesn't work that way.
Speed of motion typically important. What's this going?
Yeah, let's just skip all the actual data and facts.
What's going on here? Flipping heck. There's so much to think about, you see. Let's read this. Venus does resemble a little moon, however, in that it appears more or less half illuminated in the telescope when near greatest elongation. Now, let's go elongation. Well, there's elongation. Show some elongation. So we've got the egg, the cosmic egg, and there's the sun.
Oh no!
Gets through this way. The greatest so you're seeing it from here, and during the day, elongation would be way out here because it's the furthest point out here. This is the wider part of the egg, isn't it? So they have it out here. This is the greatest elongation. That would be the minimum, wouldn't it?
No,
Back in here
Lindsay,
somewhere.
that's not greatest elongation. That's not what elongation means at all, Lindsay.
It's come right in here. That's what they call it, elongation. And they call this
Oh shit.
because these are inferior because they're supposed to be between Earth and the Sun. It's not. They call them inferior. So when we see Venus and Mercury in front of the Sun, this is an inferior conjunction lining up. And we're seeing it from here, right? More confusing information.
Yeah, from you.
Yeah.
Yes.
It shows this phase now because
Thanks,
last
Lindsay.
time this would be blah, 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 blah. Remember, it is easier to view Venus's phase through a telescope in a daytime or twilight sky because a true nighttime, a glare of Venus itself can be overwhelming. There's some more BS because
Yeah.
all this is in the Milky Way.
Stop there a second, Terry. Yes, the glare of Venus is really bright in full nighttime because it's a really bright object. But that's okay for a camera because you can turn down the exposure
Mm,
and
exactly.
therefore not expose the glare.
Yeah. Exhibit
In
A
this
in your.
case, you can get an exhibit A right at this minute
Yeah.
Or at least what people will see when you stop sharing the video.
Yeah.
Way. You see, and when the sun turns, you see the back of the sun. And the sun sits in the Milky Way. It's tucked in the Milky Way. You look up there in the Milky Way, there's a good telescope, you get the bright light. I think they're referring to that. You're looking, because that's where Venus will be behind the sun. You're seeing that big glare. They're trying to tell you that's Venus's glare. That's the back of the sun. That's how it works. The sun represents Christ. Christ is tucked in a manger.
Oh,
The sun is tucked into the Milky Way. It's like the eye in the crocodile the Egyptians show us. You get some pictures of the Milky Way. You see the eye there?
Now he's going down.
He's going back to his old
Yeah.
properly.
More on Venus. As Venus moves around the sun, you see more of the part of the planet facing the star. Venus seems to grow from a crescent to a semicircle. When Venus's orbit is on the far side of the sun, you can see most of the surface that is reflecting. See, this goes a bit just garbage. They all tell a different story too. This occurs once every periodic cycle. So it's 582 days for Venus to go around the Earth. No, it goes around the Earth every day with the sun.
No.
But let me explain that one.
Well, it's closer than the last time you said it.
Is that where it ended?
Yeah, it did.
Oh no!
He said, if you heard the bit right at the end, just as it went to finish.
This occurs once every periodic cycle. So it's 582 days for Venus to go around the Earth. No, it goes around the Earth every day with the sun. But let me explain that one.
Yeah, I'd explain that one. I'm glad it finished there.
He's obviously filling his memory card up, isn't he?
Yeah, he did. Yeah. He did. 27 minutes and 13 seconds.
Yep. Oh dear. I'll never forget that classic, the back of the sun.
The back of the sun, nighttime. When you're seeing the back of the sun at nighttime.
Yeah, I was actually really surprised how much I had to turn the exposure down to get a usable image of Venus. It wasn't just blurred out with the brightness.
What can you say other than, oh my?
Well, huh? Now, we're going to watch Conspiracy Cats and Ranty's video, but we're not going to watch the whole lot of it, if I can help it. So I might have to jump into it somewhere. You said you had some questions.
Are we just going to watch the ranty bit, or?
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to work out. Because when I watched it, it didn't get interesting until a little bit further, about 3/4 of the way in.
Yeah, I mean, I know Conspiracy Cats does his bit of maths first, and then Ruhif did his magic with Povray and ray traced it all out. And I think this Conspiracy Cats did his bit of right angle triangling, and then then Ranty did his explanation of what he a bit further on than this. If we just want to do the Ranty bit, because that's Conspiracy Cats. I think this is about here.
So somewhere around there.
Back. Yeah, around there.
It looks like it's when Ranty's on the bottom of the screen, because it goes back to there. They're all up the side.
Yeah, no, that's
and then they changed it to there. Then it gets changed.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's kind of just a little bit past here.
So you think from here on might be a good spot to put it for what Ranty...
Yeah, because then we can hear Ranty's reasons why Ranty's assessment of the photograph in question that led him back to the globe.
Yeah. Do you want to do some questions first, Paul? Since you've only got, what did you say? You got 5 or 10?
10.
We could do
About
5.
10.
We could start off with 5, and then do this, and then we can do 5 after this, and that'll be towards the end of the show.
Right, let me get organised then. Oh, I've just got to get the internal chat up.
I'll stop sharing for you guys.
Alan
read the peanut gallery.
Alan must make sure he's in the right chat box.
Ranty in interviews has been talking about FE core mechanical gyro. They got someone to build and try to cover up when it showed the Earth's rotation. I got in contact with Conspiracy Cats to try to get Cats or Ranty on here, because I was trying to get hold of Ranty. So I'm just waiting back for that. That might not be for another couple of weeks yet, so we'll have to wait till things die down a bit. Because if I can get Ranty on here with just a couple of people, not too many people that is. Have you ever spoke to Ranty, Blue?
Only briefly.
Okay.
But I've not had any real confrontation with Randy or anything like that. Hello, Phil.
Hi, Phil.
Hey, how are you? Yeah, I've spoken to Ranty quite a bit. Actually, we have some friendly conversations on Skype and stuff like that. So, is there anything you'd like me to ask him?
Well, I was going to get him to come on after this all dies down a bit, with everyone else doing him on their channels for the last week. So when I get my channel back, beginning of May, I was going to see if I could get him on with just a couple of people, and then just have a talk to him about his photography, his observations, things like that.
Yeah, that sounds good. Actually, I wanted to, if you don't mind, I wanted to raise this thing, with Lindsay, and we had a good laugh about the back of the sun. I mean, that is just so funny. But actually, when you think about it, it is actually the best explanation for flat Earth sun that there is. Because if you think about it, that removes the need for the magic sunshade.
Oh yeah, their lampshade.
I think the lampshade. I think it's brilliant. I've got to get on his channel and give him a comment. I'm going to tell him that's just brilliant. That is the best flat Earth thing I've ever heard.
Still completely utterly preposterous.
Well, Phil also Phil, I've been trying to get him to come on my channel, and he reckons it because my channel's a Mickey Mouse channel. But if I if I can get people to comment that he doesn't consider a Mickey Mouse channel, say for example you and Blue and Paul, but trying to coax him to come onto a channel.
I'll definitely will. I'll definitely be buttering up about this. Because I think it's just brilliant. I think he's the smartest flat earther going, actually.
Okay.
That's saying something.
Yeah. in a good way.
In a good way. In a very good way. Yeah, absolutely.
It just raises so many questions with every sentence he says, even within the sentence. You think of what he just said.
I can't believe that he actually remembers what he said. I mean, that would be a
sometimes.
superior. That would be a superior intellect, actually, to waffle on like he does, and then remember all the stuff he waffled on about, because he makes it up as he's going along. I'm certain of it.
Oh, he does have little pointers on the blackboard.
Oh yes, yeah. No, that's his place setters. I get that. We use that we often do that in lectures, but he's filling in the blanks. He just makes it up as he goes along, and sometimes he confuses himself. Obviously.
Hmm. You like his Antikythera mechanism?
I didn't actually quite get that. Sorry. I'm just not up to his intellect. I'll have to watch it again.
Yeah. It's a couple of episodes.
Okay, you ready for some questions, Terry?
Oh, there we go.
You're going to answer some questions for us today, Phil?
Actually, I'm about to spend a little time with my wife, so I better not. But yeah,
no worries.
I'll watch it through afterwards.
No worries.
Okay, Phil. Yeah. Thanks for dropping in, mate.
All right.
Yep.
No worries. Thank you. Okay, see you guys.
See ya. Okay, here we go. Question number 1. The Selmayr equation can determine it for a refracting medium, and it is an improvement over Cauchy's equation. The waveguide source of this effect is seen in optical fibres and is responsible for signal degradation. The anomalous variety is so named because the index of refraction decreases with increasing frequency. The most commonly seen type, the material type, is due to the response of a given material to a particular frequencies and is responsible for a chromatic aberration in lenses. Name this effect in optics. What is this effect called? Anyone know?
They see it in optical fibres.
Yep.
Responsible signal degradation.
I'll give everyone a hint. It starts with a D. No, Carl, not the Moore effect.
D. Yeah, that's what I was thinking, blue, that word. I'm copying blue, because that's the word I was thinking of. But
I have one good answer in the internal chat.
Yeah, Alan or blue.
Well, that's the choice, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, I know the one. I know the one Blue's talking about. So.
Yeah.
Well, if Blue's wrong, well, we're both wrong. And if Blue's right, we're both right.
Here's your hint.
Alan.
Alan's got it.
Yeah,
Carl Edwards came up with it. Carl Edwards came up with it before he got the hint, I think. So well done, Carl.
I was sure it couldn't be the other D word because diffraction doesn't actually occur because of refractive index. So
no, that's right. Yeah.
Edges.
Yeah. That's right. I mean, a good example of dispersion is ocean waves. That's why ocean waves break as they come into the shore, because the higher frequency waves travel faster than the lower frequencies, and the wave separates and breaks. That's what causes that. Okay.
It does also cause longitudinal chromatic aberration. But...
Yeah, it does. Yeah, that's right.
Which is all I can think of to start with.
Yeah. Okay, question 2. In writing the equation of motion for this system, terms must be added for gravity, tension, and a non-inertial term. A system of coupled equations for x and y results, which can be solved by adding the x equation to the y equation. One of the earliest observations of this system was Vincenzo Viviani, a pupil of Galileo, who noticed the slow rotation which characterizes it. Instances of motion equivalent to this type of motion include the south-pointing chariot and, more famously, a gyroscope. Name this system of motion in which a Coriolis force produces a precession in the motion of a pendulum named for a French physicist. Now, this is an easy one. You should know this one.
Well, I know that bloke. I don't know how to spell it though.
Yeah. Shall I say that the first correct answer is the one that's spelt correctly?
Ah!
Oh dear.
I know I didn't spell it correctly. I definitely didn't. And we got the right one?
I'm a bit scared to pronounce yours, Terry.
Yeah, but we got the right one. We don't want to do a Riley.
Wait. Oh, has somebody in the outside chat actually got the spelling correct?
Yeah, somebody did.
Oh,
what did you do, Flu? What?
Blue.
Oh, we get a half a point for creative spelling.
Oh yeah, that's good.
That's the French spelling of it. Come on.
Oh,
That's
okay. That's the
Yeah, and you're right. Broomfondle and Carl got it right. It is the Foucault pendulum.
Yeah, but we got it right, but we didn't spell it right, okay?
Yeah, that's
Fair.
right.
I
love
Blue, I
Blue's
don't even know how to
spelling.
pronounce Blue. Do you want to pronounce your
Yeah.
own answer?
It's Foucault.
No.
Spelled Phauxkalt.
Yeah.
Foucault. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I know.
All right.
P-H-E-U-X. Come on.
Yeah. Okay, question 3. This heavenly body is in a class of stony meteorites known as carbonaceous chondrites, considered to be the oldest materials in the solar system, with a composition reflecting that of the primitive solar nebula. The Dawn space probe, scheduled to launch in June of 2007, so it's already been, is expected to arrive there in February of 2015, so it has arrived. Its period of revolution around the sun is 4.6 years. Its sidereal day lasts 9.075 hours. Its perihelion distance from the sun is 2.55 AUs. Its orbital eccentricity is 0.0789 and its orbital inclination is 10.58 degrees. If it has an atmosphere, its atmosphere may be similar to those of Mercury or the Earth's moon, as it has a mean radius of only 300 miles. In August of 2006, it was designated a dwarf planet by the IAU. Name this celestial body discovered in 1801 by Giuseppe Piazzi.
Oh. Okay.
Giuseppe Pizza.
No, I think you got me on this one. Alan took a wild guess.
Alan's taken a guess. I see Carl's taken a guess. One of Carl or Alan is right.
Oh, so I can cheat off Carl or Alan. Flip a coin.
Yeah. Now, if you look at the actual question, you should be able to determine which one of those is right.
Ah, okay.
think about it. If Carl was right and it was Charon orbits around Pluto. Pluto takes a lot longer than 4.9 Earth years to go around the sun. So I think that Alan is probably correct.
Yay!
And Alan was in fact correct. It is Ceres.
Ah.
Okay, question 4. It is actually a trinary system, meaning 3, with one companion, a dwarf star that orbits at only 18 AU from the primary. That primary is a spectral type F7 yellow supergiant and is also a Cepheid variable. A star of apparent magnitude 2, it has a luminosity of over 2,000 times that of the Sun, but is located about 450 light years away. Known to the ancient Greeks as Cynosura, it is now known by a name which emphasizes its position in the sky, a role formerly played by Thuban, and which will be taken up by Vega in approximately 12,000 years. The alpha star of Ursa Minor, named this star, which is currently most notable for its declination of over 89 degrees. This is an easy one. You should know this one. Causes a lot of butt hurt to the flat earthers.
I went with the common name, by the way.
Yeah.
I've made enough time lapses with it in, you see.
Yeah.
I figured in the description tags in the images, it really ought to mention the proper name and the
Yeah. So you're correct. It is the star Polaris.
Yep. Oh.
Hopefully what Alan said. I've been really lucky this morning, though.
Okay, here we go. Question 5. It was calculated to 89 parts in a billion by a National Institute of Standards and Technology team using a device called a moving coil watt balance. In the quantum Hall effect, the Hall conductance is inversely proportional to it. For many applications in quantum mechanics involving angular momentum, Dirac's constant is substituted, in which is merely this constant divided by 2 pi. Relating the energy of a photon to its frequency, name this constant, approximately equal to 6.626 times 10 to the minus 34 joule seconds, and is usually symbolized with a lowercase h.
Oh, God.
Geez, if someone gets that one right out in the peanut gallery, they can get a gold star.
Mm.
Yeah, I wonder how far. Yeah, what's your latitude, Carl? I think it's I was only looking at this the other day.
Oh my God, why can't I remember names?
Blue's
taking a guess.
Yes, we have 2 guesses, both spelt incorrectly, but good. We have sublegal with a correct spelling of the word. Blue's correct, and same with
and I'm going to go with what they all said because I just need to see it
with room fondle.
know it.
It is in fact the Planck constant. Yeah, PLANCK. It's got both the C and the K in it. Okay, that's 5 questions. Did you want to do the other 5, or do you want to just keep those?
No, we'll leave the 5 for after.
Okay. All righty. There you go. You can have your screen back.
Okay. I want this one. Now, we've all been hearing about Ranty going back to the globe side, inverted commas, like, but has he really, or did he just admit to something to do with an observation? That's what I've been looking at for people, how people have been interpreting it. Is he still a flat earther, or is he a globe earther, or is there something somewhere in between? Yeah. We're into. This went for an hour or so. We're right into 34 minutes of it, so we might be able to skip a little bit if we can.
I know what you've got. When are you going to model reality with
running on adrenaline, cats? Running on adrenaline.
I don't think that's the good old days. I don't think that's actually answering anything here. I think we've shown you very clearly using the trigonometry, using the rendering software, what that should look like on a flat Earth, and it doesn't. So I'm not really sure that comment makes any sense, to be honest. Anyway, Ranty, mate, should I hand over to you?
Sure. Yeah, I'm presenting, I believe. So, yeah, I mean, I don't think we'd be here today without Bev. You know, essentially, I wouldn't be here on this stream today talking about this image if it wasn't for Bev being so assertive about this location. So I know my location.
Yeah, thanks, Bev.
In and around Home, Cleveland's, you know, seeing Barrow in Furnace, etc. So I know my location, and when I say that I see a very long way all the time and it's always the same, I've got to also then trust Bev when he turns around and says the same thing. When he says that it is a white swan, I went there the last 2 days, it's perfectly normal. Now, this is coming from another flat earther. So what can I say? I mean, Bev, you're actually making it easier for me to do this presentation today, because if you're telling the world that this is a perfectly normal view of Blackpool from where you film, well, you know, I'll get into this in a minute, and it will demonstrate that you're absolutely filming drop then every single time if this is a perfectly normal view, right? And that's why we're here today, because it wasn't just a one-off image. We've also got a flat earther out there telling the world that this is a normal, everyday observation, right? So I want to make that quite clear. Right, I think I have another image to show. So this was my workings out too. I did a bit of trigonometry kind of thing on a flat plane. I worked it out essentially the same. And I know I've not annotated these objects, but obviously this line up here at the top, we've got Dow Crag. This object down here is where Blackpool Tower is. That's the top of Blackpool Tower, basically, and it's all scaled out. It's not scaled out, but it's suitable for this because you're only measuring a relative distance, relative heights. And what I did when I ran a line of sight through where it intersects on Blackpool Tower, it actually shows that where the drop should have been down to 428 meters, which meant that there would be 350 meters hidden. So, you know, obviously Blackpool Tower, obviously this red line of sight to the top of Blackpool Tower, if you follow that up to here, it would intersect Dow Crag at around about, let's scroll in to see this.
I think mine was about 660, I think, something like that.
Yes, 670. So I've got it intersecting Dow Crag at about 670 meters, the top of Blackpool Tower. So I would say that's pretty close, you know. And you know, that's my calculations too, that obviously Dow Crag should appear higher than Blackpool Tower, and obviously it isn't the case in the image. So, you know, I agree with you on that, absolutely. Let's get another image up for you. So these were the initial workings out. Let's go over here. So this is the original image. Obviously, everyone's seen all that. And what I needed to do then is I needed to scale some things up. So I needed to work out the height of Blackpool Tower. This wasn't a random guess, by the way. I actually scaled this by using the wheel over here, funnily enough. And I'll get to that in the next image. So there we go. We know that that's a circle. We know that that's the... We know that the pathway in front of Blackpool Tower is here. We know that's exactly where it is. And we know that it's 12 meters above sea level. So when we calculate all that and we have the 12 meters over here, we can then get a scale of Blackpool Tower, and we can get a height of the mountains in the background in relation to Blackpool Tower. So all these calculations were leading up to, obviously, this image here, which is the final image. I'll get to that. Let me go to Google Earth. This is the important part. So obviously this is the line of sight to the two mountains. Dow Crag is over here, this line of sight here, and we've got a ridge here that runs along this, and I've trailed it out with a line across it. You can see that line, that wiggly.
For one thing, he's using Google Earth as well. So doesn't that tell you something if he's using something like Google Earth as for evidence, which is based on the globe?
Yeah, but you have to remember the flat earthers use Google Earth too. So, and they just ignore the fact that it's based on the globe. They just deny that there's curvature.
Line that's tracing out the top of that ridge, and when we come in here, we've got a very obvious trough, right? I mean, it's quite easy to see, and I want to focus on this part here. Can you see the scarring on the mountain on this right hand side here? Yep. Now then, I'm going to find let's get this next image up. So what I've done again, I agree with that, is let's scroll in.
But he had excuses for all the other ones.
All the previous photos Ranty has ever took or looked at would have shown him he was wrong many years ago. Okay.
And so you can see this.
Yeah, I mean, just pause for a moment. I mean, all of this sort of thing was presented. The same sort of evidence was presented throughout the big argument that we had over the Isle of Man from St. Bees. This kind of evidence was presented quite a number of times to Ranty, and they just ignored it.
Yeah.
But the only difference is he's getting somebody saying this is what we see all the time. So the one that goes over the Isle of Man was the image. If you took an image one day and another image another day, you're going to get the same or not. I don't know what happened with that one.
The exact level of refraction is different, changing constantly. But most of it is very close to the average. But sometimes you get it way out, like the black swan photos.
Yeah, and I think the main difference between this image and the Isle of Man stuff from St. Bees is that all of the Isle of Man stuff from St. Bees was very close to the horizon. This is obviously not. You've got those hills in the background there that are quite well above the horizon. So.
Yeah, well, straight away that I noticed in some of the flat Earth areas, they're trying to debunk this one by saying it's not curvature, it's still a flat Earth. There's refraction and all that sort of stuff. So, especially the images that they've been putting up about it, because there's another couple of images that somebody's got as well. I don't know what I've done with them. I'll show them later if I've got it.
What? So now the flat earthers' primary complaint was that we always appealed to refraction to fix the numbers. And now they're appealing to refraction as well.
Yeah, to try to debunk it, to say it's for flat Earth.
Yeah.
I mean, I believe there is a little looming in this photo, in so much as, you know, Blackpool is kind of a bit higher than it ought to be. You know, because Blackpool is far enough away that I believe there is a little bit of looming, but it's not a huge amount. And of course, it's very consistent. You can see there's not huge amounts of refraction going on outside of the standard bit.
Yeah, but how much height variation are we looking at with the extent of what refraction and looming can do? That'd be one of my questions in the measurements.
And you've got to remember that looming works against the globe Earth. So if they're seeing drop here and massive amounts of it, even though there's a little bit of looming, that means that there is quite a significant amount of drop there.
I've been able to
we lose track of that.
Sorry, Blue.
They lose track of that fact every time.
Yeah.
The refraction that we normally see, except in extremely unique circumstances, does not help the globe Earth. It helps the flat Earth. It makes the Earth look more flat than it is. More.
Yeah.
And so, and it's impossible to look through our atmosphere and not have some level of refraction. It just has to occur. There's no way around it. There are no days when there is no refraction.
To pinpoint these directly behind Blackpool Tower. So this scarring on the mountain here is right here. Right, that's the scarring. There's the ridges. There's the ridges. This bottom part here is this bottom part there. And you can definitely see that everything matches up with that. There's no denying that this is what you're looking at. And consequently, because of that, you know exactly where the cutoff point is. You know exactly where this is going to intersect the ground, basically, or where it should intersect the ground. Obviously, I've highlighted the ridge over here. If you come over here, I've traced the ridge out, and you can trace the ridge out down here. And I've also done another image here for a line of sight for Uru HIF too. Let me see if I've got that ready. I did this earlier. There we go. There's another one. And I've darkened it up a little bit so you can definitely see these ridges. Would you agree that that's the same ridges?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
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 Right, let's go to the next one. 2, 3. And what I've done then is I've been able to pick out these other ridges that run down the side of the hill, and I've traced out the trough. I've traced out the valleys and the gullies. I've traced out the feature on the side of the hill.
Does anyone think there's any connection to what's happened here with Ranty here, to what he's done with the Brandon channel over on Discord, where he disappeared from that and handed the reins over to Brandon from the channel? Do you think there's any connection with
that? Would possibly be a reasonable surmise. I thought he'd given it up because he'd started a full-time job. But, that was one thing. Yeah.
But Brandon's had that channel for more than 2 months, and like Randy claims that he's had this picture and been analysing it for just 2 months. So I don't think so. I
think he was kind of losing faith a little before he got to this point.
Yeah, you'd have to watch one of his last presentations or videos he did on his channel, or one of the last ones, to see where he was at back then.
Which is here. And if you follow all these lines, you'll see that they all line up absolutely perfectly. There's no denying that this is where you are seeing too, behind Blackpool Tower. The problem is that this ridge here, the bottom of this ridge here, let's scroll in to there. If we go to Google Earth, let's see if we can hover over this to show you what the height of that is over here. So the bottom of that there, in the bottom right-hand side, it says an elevation of 468 meters. Right? Now that's a problem. You know, that is definitely a big problem if you're going to say that this is a flat Earth proof.
Great.
Right. Let's. I did have other images here. Just bear with me a second whilst I find it. I think it's this one. I think that's basically it. My conclusion is very simple. It's this image that I showed you before. This one here. So based upon all the known factors in this, oh, that's right. This is what I was going to show you. So what I did is I did a line of sight through the ice blast, and I did obviously we know that Dow Crag is 753 meters tall. I did a line of sight through the ice blast here, and I'm going to show you that on Google Earth. My line of sight through that, which is this line here. So ice blast measure. If we go to the show elevation properties on that, it peaks at 601 meters. Basically, the line of sight on that peaks at 601 meters. So when we go through that line of sight to there, we know that that mountain there is 601 meters tall. We know that that's 753 meters tall. And based upon that, you can then scale your ruler to that. So if you need to have your ruler at 601 and you need to have that at 753, and when you do that, you actually find that the horizon is way down here. And the missing, and I think I'd basically said that the horizon should be down around about here. It's around about 330 meters of missing, I would have assumed based upon these calculations. And if we compare that to your image, I actually took a screenshot of it before, and I actually quickly lined it up with my own one. You've put Blackpool Tower there, and you've put the horizon down here with that red spot.
Yeah, and no, that's 0 meters. 0 meters at Dow Crag.
Yeah,
is, the same thing you're doing on your
So you've put 0 meters here, down there, and essentially that's under Blackpool Tower, and that's essentially what I've done. There's the base of Blackpool Tower, and that's where I've got mine too. And I would imagine that they would scale pretty similar.
Pretty accurately.
Yeah. Now, as I say, I wouldn't have believed this. As I would have thought it was just a one-off. Maybe come up with trying to come up with some kind of explanation, some kind of reason, sinking, something like this as to the reason why these mountains appear to be dropped. The problem being it isn't a one-off image, and we know that through Bev. We've been told categorically by Bev that this is a black swan and it's there all the time. I mean,
that's a white swan.
And I do want to thank Bev for that, but I also want to thank Stuart Christmas. Thank you so much for that, my friend. Thank you very, very much. I'll just take that off the screen because it's hiding your face there, Auntie. But thank you, Stuart.
Okay.
Does anyone know if Bev's actually spoken about any of this since this interview or this show? Anyone's heard Bev or of Bev? Or was he kept quiet?
I haven't heard anything.
Okay.
I think the only thing that was of note was that it wasn't Bev that took these; it was his son.
Yeah.
That actually took the photos. But other than that,
it says it's a white swan. I went there the last 2 days. It's perfectly normal, and we can compare these two side by side. So let me open these up again so that we can compare them. And what's interesting is that in the image that Bev presented himself, you can still see the same trough behind Blackpool Tower. It's in exactly the same place. There's no denying that it's exactly the same heights, everything. So if I've got a flat earther confirming this, what can I say? It's drop. And that we know that there are people living at the bottom of that mountain. So they're either living at the bottom of the mountain underwater, or it's a globe. And I think that there are people living at the bottom of that mountain.
You got to change.
It only affects it in the image at the waterline. You can see miraging, not in the other one. But it doesn't affect the top of the tower or the mountain, though.
The banner, Cats.
Oh, was that, because I don't want to speak for you, and it's not going to be an easy thing for you to say what. But I'm going to ask, because people in the chat are going to know, based on what you've just said, what is your final conclusion? Could you sum it in like 2 or 3 words?
I think after...
Or can you not?
Well, the past 2 months have been basically going through this image and trying to come to terms with what's the reasons for why I see flat in my location, and why does this image show drop looking over my location. So there's definitely a conflict there. And I've been discussing it with you. We've been finding things out, and we might have a different explanation. We may have a different explanation for what's going on that could be incorporated inside of the globe model, but give validation, not just to the work I've done, but why other people see further too. But based upon all of this new evidence, and that's what we're all looking for, is new evidence. I've been asking for it for a while, for proof of the globe, proof of drop, especially in my location. And thanks to Bev, and thanks to the
Bev.
gentleman that took this original image, I've got to say, I'm now back on the globe side.
Yay. Wow.
Can we get a cheer from the chat?
Got to be said.
And that must take, that cannot have been easy at all. I just want to address something in the chat. Before I do want to come back to you, but Try Thinking seems to be claiming I've somehow tried to dox him in the middle of this stream. I don't know what he's talking about. Have I made a mistake there using the word Bev? I thought that was commonly known. If not, then I massively apologise for using the word Bev. I thought everybody, your Twitter handle is Bev Try Thinking, and it's not, and it's also not your name. Your name was given out, and I'm not using it. Yeah. Your name is something else, and your Twitter handle is Bev Try Thinking, and everybody calls you Bev. So if you think I'm trying to dox you with that, then I apologise. That's not the kind of stuff I get into. I do massively apologise. I will now call you Try Thinking from now on, not Bev, which isn't your name. I don't know. Anyway,
what?
Yeah. So
that's basically it, wasn't it? Really, for the video. Once it got to that point,
that's the meat. That was the meat of the argument, and then I believe they had a bit more of there was about 20 minutes left, so there was a bit of conversation. But he kind of implied he was still had some questions about some stuff because of,
there was something else that was actually said by Ranty, and I don't know when though. You'd have to listen to the rest of it to find it.
Yeah, it's
because he did say something else.
Yeah, I think he's still hooked into some of the other conspiracies, but again, I think he's doing some stuff with cats, and I think that's may well change that position as well.
Yeah.
Because it seems like he's now willing to be shown stuff and to accept that everybody's not lying to him.
I was trying to find where he said it. Thought it come up on the text.
Be interesting to see if he goes over any of his old footage now and analyses it in light of his new discovery.
Yeah. I'm not going to find it. I thought he said it just here somewhere. Now, yeah, watch this space and we'll see what else comes out of this. Because I never really followed Randy that much. I may have took a glimpse of a couple of his shows that he used to have on at one time. That was
Wasn't it the Daily Show he used to do?
I can't remember. I just been a while since he did that show. I don't even know what I still Googled, I still YouTubed with him. His channel's still around, I think. I don't know if I'm subbed to him or not, still.
I seriously doubt that it was this one photograph that changed Randy's mind. I think Randy had gotten tired of making a fool out of himself.
Yeah.
When he that was my thought when he handed his show over to Brandon Toy. I thought at that point Randy's just tired of being a village idiot, and he decided to give it to somebody that was much better at being a village idiot, which is Brandon.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Brandon
one.
is actually a professional village idiot. So
that was one of the things I did notice with this show, that Randy never used to say much. He used to let everyone else do all the talking.
Yeah.
Is his channel called Ranty or something else?
He doesn't. Well, it's
that show. When he did that show, I don't know what it was called. It was called Ranty or something else.
It's called Ranty Flat Earth.
Ranty Flat Earth. Yeah, I'm just checking me.
But it's not in it. The name of it's now whatever Brandon whatever thing.
Oh.
They changed the name of it.
Yeah.
So Ranty hasn't got a channel then you can go to.
Ranty actually does have a channel. Hold on.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering, if he's still got content in his channel before it switched.
Yeah, he does.
I'm sure I'm still got.
And it's Ranty exclamation point. He's only got 121 subscribers. You want a link to it? I'll give it to you.
Yeah. Oh, that's weird.
Here, I'll put it out. I'll put it out in the YouTube chat. There.
Okay.
Brandon, on the other hand.
Yeah, that's what I was just looking at, that one, because I think I've got that written here somewhere.
Is this one.
Yeah, I've got that one. Open that up.
So there's a link to Ranty and a link to Ranty's old channel, which is now Brandon's.
Right, see, is this the
But
Brandon's
this
one?
information,
Is this the Brandon's one? I'm sharing Brandon's to everyone. This one. That's Brandon. He's got...
There's absolutely...
Got 5.5
absolutely no difference.
Okay.
Rockets.
So he's just brought out his content like that. 2 months ago. So he had his own version. Okay. There we go, Ranty something Brandon show back here. I'm leaving my channel to Brandon Toy, but it's not the end. That was 4 months ago. That one. And then Ranty back for a show tonight and so on. Okay. And then the one you just put in blue. I'll check that. Oh. Wrong one. I opened the wrong one up. Try again. That one. There we go. That's the Ranty one. Okay.
It's a subscribe button.
Is that the right one?
Yeah, that's it.
Okay. But that's not the Ranty Flat Earth video. It's all over on Brandon's channel.
That's what we tell.
Yeah.
That's what I told you.
Yeah.
Ranty gave the whole thing up. He gave it all to Brandon.
Wow. Okay, so he's looking at chemtrails there. He's saying Miles Davis lies. Miles Davis did that observation up in near Scotland somewhere, up near the border somewhere there between Scotland and England, over on the northeast side of England. That observation over the bridges. I remember that one.
Well, it's identical. It's identical in nature to this this thing of Blackpool that Ranty says changed his mind.
Okay,
but
so
Miles had done that same sort of observation.
Yeah.
Years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, and high enough above the ground that refraction really was not going to be a huge major issue.
So he's brought out something 3 days ago. It's only an image, analyse it properly. It's only got 193 views. Yeah. Yeah, it's not looking too good for flat Earth if these odd flat Earthers are mixing up the pot a bit.
Yes, Elmix Trepine law is the where Miles made all of his observations, and he made a lot of them on a lot of different days from different areas up there.
Yeah.
And the identical concept to this, something in the distance which would have to be necessarily considerably taller than something closer to you if the Earth were flat, is not. And it never is.
Yeah.
Never is, because we don't live on a damn pancake.
Because he was actually able to do shots in both directions on the top of the bridge, from the height of the top of the bridge, because of Japan law and from the other side of the valley as well. And the effect was the same in both directions. Funny that.
So that's why I say I don't see how I don't understand why this one particular image, which is no different in nature than so many others that Randy has seen, would be the tipping point for some reason or the other.
Yeah, it just seems a bit strange.
But you know, these people, in order to proclaim, to believe in a flat Earth, have to engage in such a level of denial to get to that point to begin with. And you know, at some point you got to say, look, you know, I'm just tired of being a joke.
Yeah, well, the die-hard flat earthers, the religious type ones, I think will still be there. I don't think they'll change. It's hard to break somebody away from a religious aspect. Oh, there you are. There's Miles. I thought I had Miles Davis.
Oh, you'll have a hard time getting somebody like Brandon Toy away from it, because Brandon Toy is just a dumbass. Yeah, there's nothing else you can say.
So he's done over water.
Brian Leakey, Brandon Toys, and Brian Mabbitts, and you know.
Renty fails again. So here you go, Renty fails again. A mirror of video, something there. That one.
Well, there's been a long battle between Randy and Miles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Going back, yeah, these are going back a year ago.
Two years ago. There you go. There's Traprane Law right there.
Yep.
Same sort of
That's
observation, same sort of proof.
Yeah, that's the one I was thinking of.
Yeah, it is.
That one.
Yeah.
That's the one from the other side from Trapping Law, I think.
Yeah, that's only 2 years ago, that one.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Oh, here it is. There's more of it here. Yeah, 2 years ago that one was done. I remember that. There's not much difference, really. I don't know of any others off the top of my head. The actual video footage ones, not the ones that the flat earthers have put out, because a lot of them have been doctored. One of them, for an example, I think Riley did, was supposed to be on a beach somewhere up there, that way somewhere, and we analysed it and found out he was nowhere near that part of the beach. Yeah.
Oh, you mean the ones where he said he was filming from Hoy Lake and he wasn't?
Yeah, I think that might have been the one.
Yeah.
Because we looked at the images and then Googled Earthed them and go, that don't look like the same spot that you were standing.
Oh, there's something. Yeah, there's something Elmings is saying out in the chat. Yeah, when they're tired of being a fool, they need an excuse to
Yeah.
walk away from that. So okay, use whatever you like, I suppose.
I'll use everyone's brains rested for the last 5 questions, and then we'll finish off after that for any final things we can talk about after. I don't like using the final thoughts things like Brandon and everyone else and Jose uses. Final thoughts, everyone, and everyone interrupts each other. Everyone ends up interrupting each other. No, final thoughts. Final thoughts.
Final thoughts. It makes it sound like you're going to be. Makes it sound like you're going to be executed after your final thoughts.
Yeah, you're like your last request.
Yeah.
Any last requests?
Yeah.
Yeah, I got a final thought. Everything's flat, you bunch of knob sockets. Knock it off.
Yeah. Oh, dear. Okay, here we go. Question number 6.
In the right.
All right. Yeah. Okay, each starts with an 8-byte signature: 8950, 4E, 47, 0D, 0A, 1A, 0A. It supports full alpha transparency in 8 and 16-bit modes, but does not support the CMYK color model. The need of it arose when Unisys began to enforce patents that held on Lempel-Ziv-Welch compression methods. Name this image format, which has largely replaced GIF for web images. I've already got some answers out in the chat. You're typing an essay, Alan.
There you go.
Yeah.
I thought I'd give you the full answer.
You did. You gave me the full answer. Yep. And you are correct, as were most people in the chat too. PNG, or Portable Network Graphics. Correct. Well done.
Yeah, Sabre Eagle would like to point out that it's not 47, it's 47. Because it's actually 71 in decimal.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, question 7. Their namesake, built on work by Edmund Halley to explain how these objects operate, realizing that a rotating system would be needed to account for their flow. Though the latter explanation of the Coriolis effect would be necessary to provide a complete theory. In these, warm air is drawn in the intertropical convergence zone. Now that sounds like something that Lemonbird would say. Where it rises to the tropopause, then moves towards the poles before descending at around 30 degrees north and south, a region of subsidence known as the horse latitudes. Name these large air circulation patterns which influence tropical and subtropical climates. What are they known as? Does anyone know? Sabre Eagles come up with a guess. Harry McCain's.
The stupid thing is, I can't remember it, but I know we've had this question before, but not in such a long form.
There's your clue, which kind of gives it away.
Yeah, I was thinking of
That's
what
the
Blue,
one in red.
what Blue wrote. Those words or something like that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So Sublegal was right. They are the Hadley cells. They're the ones where the warm air rises at the equator, travels north or south, and then descends at about 30 degrees, forming a flow. And as the air descends, it and moves back towards the equator along the ground, it and up above, how the air flows there, it's subject to the Coriolis force and creates the jet streams. Okay, question 8.
Southern one anyway.
Yeah. It contains an irregular dwarf galaxy discovered in 2003, which is believed to be the closest neighbouring galaxy to the Sun's location in the Milky Way. It also includes the open cluster M41. Notable for its large population of red giants, named stars in it include the Alpha Cygni type variable Aludra and its beta star Mersum, named for being the herald of this constellation's alpha star. Containing the brightest star in the night sky, Sirius, named this constellation representing one of Orion's hunting dogs.
Well, I'm getting the feeling that Sabre Eagle's going to be the one that gets this right again.
He is. He's smashing it tonight.
Yeah. I also noticed he put from the last question. You know how Jupiter looks stripy, same effect.
Yeah. Yeah. I like Oris Stew's answer. Rover. Yeah, it was. It was Canis Major. Canis Major is the constellation. All right. Question 9. It was preceded by the Gunter scale, which was often several feet in length. The first true example of this device was constructed by William Oughtred in 1632. Popular brands include Concise, Empire, and Acumath, as well as circular models from Fowler and Lietz Pickett. More complex ones allow the user to calculate roots and trigonometric functions, as well as basic arithmetic functions and logarithms. Name this mechanical calculation device largely supplanted by the pocket calculator.
Oh, yeah. I went the wrong way.
You did, Terry, and you spelled it wrong. It's an abacus, not an abacus.
Yeah, I can't change. I know,
but that's
I can't
not the
change.
answer.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
After I wrote it, I realised my mistake when I looked at the question.
Yeah. Here's an example of one of these devices. Yeah. And it is, of course, the slide rule. I've still got my original slide rules. I've got 2 of them. I've got a flat one like that, and I've got a conical one as well.
Slide rule.
Sorry,
I'm
Irish.
trying to read Blue. I'm trying to read what Blue wrote.
You can't see the keys.
Yeah.
I like, slide rule. F.O. Allen, I can't see the keys. Irish Cube, Munter scale, beer goggle specific.
Yeah.
And Carl said he's still got one.
Yeah, I've got two, Terry.
Yeah,
Didn't you say you still had one, Blue?
Yeah, I've got several of them.
Yeah, that's what I thought. What you said you had one.
I have a K&E log duplex. That is a nice slide rule.
I'd never even seen one in high school, so I don't know. I don't know when they would have used them or had one. Not in my day, anyway.
Yeah, they just dropped using them in favour of electronic calculators when I kind of hit secondary school. So
yeah, we got the electronic calculator in year 10. I remember that. That was a novelty, having that.
Right, question 10. The chemical composition and this quantity are the only variables that enter into the Russell-Vogt theorem. The Proca-Lagrangian determines the effects of a non-vanishing value of this property in photons. One combination of fundamental constants gives the value for this property at which the Schwarzschild radius equals the Compton wavelength. Got that? The torsion balance experiment. Yeah, the torsion balance experiments of Otvos showed the equivalence of this inertial and gravitational forms. Associated in the standard model with the Higgs boson, name this property that Einstein proved is equivalent to energy.
Ah. I was reading what Blue wrote last, and then Alan puts it in shouty words.
Big Blue should know this one because his experiment's all about it.
What balls?
And we have some correct answers.
I wish I could write down the Is it? I'm trying to remember this now. No. I'll probably get it wrong. I spelt it wrong.
Okay.
You know where I was going. You know where I was going, don't you?
Yeah, and Sublegal and Big Blue got it right. Yeah, it is just mass. Mass is equivalent to energy, according to Einstein. Yep.
I was referring to the one Alan did. I was trying to remember that the number thing.
And there you go. That's all I have for you today.
Oh.
I promise I'll do an easier one next week.
Oh, they weren't too bad. Some of them I was educated guess because I'm learning little bits and pieces. So it's just the question. Yeah. I'm thinking there's something in that question that looks familiar.
Yeah, I use technical words in this lot.
Yeah, that's what it probably threw me off on some of them.
Yeah.
And we have had most of those. We have had questions which gave us the same answers in quite a lot of the quizzes.
Yeah.
Just not worded quite so long-windedly.
So technically, yeah.
Yeah.
What's that number equation for gravity for things falling?
What are
do
you
you
talking
want?
about, Terry?
Acceleration of gravity?
Yeah, the acceleration of gravity. That's the one.
9.8 meters per second squared here on the
Oh,
Earth.
I missed per second.
Apparently, Blue, that's an inverse square law, right?
Oh yeah, you have to square the seconds too. Exactly.
Yeah. I was mildly puzzled by that one. and I don't know how he claimed it was an inverse square law, and yet he multiplied everything together. I mean, doesn't he know what the word inverse means?
No. No, I don't think dimensional analysis is his strong suit.
No.
They can't see this out there. Where are we? Now I've got that one from Blue. Oh, no, that's not Blue. I don't know who that one is. It's not supposed to be there. I got one from. What?
That one from Blue. I was going to say, did you see the suggestion that Sabre Legal posted up earlier?
No, I missed that one.
It's he was asking us if we would look at it and react about it's a Scott Manley talking about a new rocket engine type.
Okay.
Oh yeah, the saltwater rocket, nuclear saltwater rocket. Yeah.
Yeah.
There was a Blue one that went for an hour and 30 minutes. I don't think we got time to watch that one. I've got a Wally that lasts 5 minutes as well. So I've got 2 5 minutes, one Wally, one. What do you want to look at the Scott Manley one, Alan?
Yeah, I've just stuck it in our inside chat for you.
We have played these before and we've never had a problem with them.
No, Scott's. I'm pretty sure Scott's okay because and we are going to be talking about it and reacting live, which is kind of allowable in the
same as the Matt Parker
one.
I got permission to watch, as long as we just would talk through it.
Yeah.
And the Curiosity Show one. Whenever I get around to watch it, pick ones, some segments of that one to watch. Could you play the short lemon bird salad from Jose's?
That'd be interesting.
I haven't got anything. Is that from last Jose's show? Yeah, I'd need a timestamp on the last show for that one.
Yeah, it'd have to be a link with the timestamp in it, preferably.
Yeah.
You must admit Lemon Bird does come up with awesome word salad.
Apparently, Omix has posted the link in Discord.
Okay, yeah, I can grab that from there. Where'd you put it in? Any other vids? Oh yeah, here we go. Grab that. What, do you just want to watch that first? Get out of the way. Oh, it's actually been bit. So it goes for 2 minutes 57. Well, Jose did it already. One hour and 6 minutes. What's that one? Oh, Brimfondle's. Yeah, but I've got this one, Brimfondle, so this one will do. We got that?
it takes a little time to put this into words that we both understand. Each of those Pez is a Pez dispenser, candy dispenser, where you have blocks of Pez, sugary Pez, that you dispense through the head of the machine going up. You can push them downward to illustrate this phenomenon where each of those Pez's are a unit of vision centered at the level of the eyes, let's say. As the Pez dispenser gets further and further away from you, one Pez is going to disappear. Down goes the Pez machine. Another unit is going to disappear. If it gets further down goes the Pez machine. And a bigger zone of vision will supersede that old zone of vision that you were looking to, that's converged, mushed, smushed, and disappeared, and been toppled over and crushed by a bigger visual section. This will be interpreted by the eye and the brain as a downward curve, especially if you add curving optics to the mix. This is a mess. We need to look at how the eye processes images over a flat plane.
What you just said is indeed a mess.
We have Robotham saying that you have different degrees of top below the crosshair, depending on
Robotham. I know fraud and snake oil
information. We have all of these breadcrumbs that are being ignored because of our bias and our love for this globe model.
Yeah. If you're going to quote Robotham, I'm going to counter with Elmer Fudd, okay?
Whatever. The simple geometric model is a simplification to help guide action and just keep you from going crazy. But that doesn't mean that there's an actual ball there. There's no curve to the horizon. The lasers aren't matching it. The infrared isn't even matching it. So we have to be honest about whether NASA's fake pictures, our questionable understanding of perspective, and our curved optics are really delivering something close to reality. We're basing a lot of this optical geometry off of theoretical triangles and cones. But notice how every part of that triangle and cone is preserved from beginning to end in that mathematical model. Now, visually, that's not the case. You take a 1 foot section of vision versus that 1 foot section of cone, you take it further away from your eye, it's going to converge, merge, and disappear. Whereas in the cone, that 1 foot piece is going to be preserved visually and mathematically in the cone. So this optical geometry becomes baseless at that point since you're dealing with units that are effectively disappearing. So we might need to look into this a bit further over a flat plane.
You're just making shit up.
Oh my god!
Wow.
What?
I thought the Elmer Fudd counter was pretty good though.
Yeah.
What's all this?
Hear the rest of it.
That's SE. Oh, how's SE with his twin boat paradox thing now?
Oh god!
You like that one?
Right.
That's the most retarded. That's not even a paradox.
Should I just?
Are you talking to Rita?
Not at the moment.
Fortunately, we're only talking about them.
Oh, I'll do a quick Scott.
I mean, can you just imagine Lemon as a postgrad proposing an experiment to his supervisor?
Oh my god!
Damn.
Brimfundle said there's an actual diagram that goes with all that. Okay, well I don't know how you're going to get hold of the diagram, unless it's off the live stream. You'd have to screen capture the thing off the live stream to see that.
Show the fusion drives are a rare thing for science fiction in that they're actually sort of within the laws of physics, albeit likely beyond any technology that could be developed soon or possibly ever. In the TV show, the spacecraft have engines that are able to provide powerful thrust comparable to the chemical rockets that we use to launch rockets into space, but they're able to operate for days or even weeks at a time, like the ultra-high efficiency ion propulsion systems used on deep space probes today. It would be really nice if there were something that we could imagine in real life that could do both. Right? And you know, there are smart people that have come up with a few ideas over the years. So I want to talk about one particular thing known as the nuclear saltwater rocket. And it's the brainchild of Robert Zubrin. And you might have heard of him because he is the sort of guy behind the Mars Direct concept, which has sort of become the basis for most of the plans to send humans to the Red Planet. So rocket engines, they obviously work by sending out exhaust, reaction mass at high velocities in one direction, and the conservation of momentum means that you get thrust in the opposite direction. And they need a lot of energy to throw out the material. In conventional chemical engines, the combustion of the fuel provides the bulk of the energy. Whereas in ion thrusters, that energy comes from solar panels that are soaking up the sun. So the power from those solar panels is actually pretty wimpy compared to the fury of a chemical reaction, but both of them are much lower energy density than what's available from nuclear reactions. Now, there are actually nuclear thermal engines, and that's where you have a nuclear reactor and you blow propellant over it to cool it down. And so that you can heat the propellant to a relatively high temperature and use the reactor sort of continuously with a lot of propellant. Now, this may sound crazy, but they've actually built and tested these in the past. In fact, they did a lot of testing in a place known as Jackass Flats. The program to develop these was shut down, probably because it was a key step to potentially extending the Apollo program to Mars. And, you know, government really wasn't wanting to fund something as extravagant as that.
But
so anyway,
like you'd want to go to Mars in an Apollo capsule.
Bit small.
You know, yeah. I mean, the command module is not exactly huge, is it? For a trip to Mars and back.
No, I don't think humans are going to be going to Mars just yet.
Nuclear thermal thrusters, they're about twice as efficient as the best chemical engines. But there are limits on this, because to make things better, the reactor needs to be hotter and hotter. But if it gets too hot, then it'll melt. I mean, it won't melt down because it's in 0G, but having a liquid or even vaporized core is not good. I mean, it sounds catastrophic, right? But there are actually ideas for gas core nuclear reactors where the reactor is actually a superheated plasma containing, fissile uranium or plutonium. This is obviously a technical challenge, but that's a whole other video. No, the nuclear saltwater rocket works by having a sustained nuclear reaction in the propellant as it flows through the engine itself. It's just like a chemical rocket, which has a chemical reaction as the fuel flows through it, but with vastly more energy available to it. The exhaust from a chemical rocket is thousands of degrees, but it could be hundreds of thousands of degrees in a nuclear saltwater rocket. So, the propellant is water with a uranium or plutonium salt dissolved in it. The original proposal had a 2% uranium tetrabromide mixture with regular water. The uranium itself would also be enriched to about 20% uranium-235. That's reactor-grade uranium. So, in that mixture, it contains everything it needs to sustain a chain reaction. If you get enough of it in the right place, you will have a critical mass and the neutron-driven reaction will run away exponentially and the water will explode into hot plasma. So the first problem is making a fuel tank that
you don't want that, do you?
can store.
No, that's exactly what you do.
What you do want.
Pause it. That's exactly what you do want, Terry. Because what you want is for the liquid with the thing. You want the radioactive salts contained in the water to react and convert mass into energy, which releases a lot of energy, and you use that energy to then vaporize the water and push it out the back of the rocket. So that literally is exactly what you want. You want it to create that plasma at a high temperature to then be expelled out the back of the rocket.
Yeah, but you don't want a big explosion. You want a controlled explosion.
Yeah.
Well, you want a controlled burn, essentially.
The controlled burn, yeah.
Of propellant, and you do this by having a lot of neutron absorbing materials spread throughout the interior of the tank. Things like boron, which will soak up those excess neutrons before they can drive a runaway reaction and ruin your day. If you have a fuel leak, by the way, then you better hope that it doesn't accumulate in any one place, otherwise it will eventually react when it collects a critical mass. So the neutron suppression is a key part of the fuel handling, and that has to be maintained right up to the point where you actually want it to react. So in simple terms, you pump the salt water down boron-lined pipes into the chamber, and if you do it at the right speed, you can get a highly energetic, self-sustaining nuclear reaction which generates incredibly energetic plasma, and it's this plasma which generates the thrust. This isn't like the slow chain reaction you get in a regular nuclear reactor where it's only barely critical so that they can control it. This is a reaction where the criticality is maximized to burn as much fuel as possible before it expands into space. It's kind of like trying to replicate the prompt criticality conditions in the excursion that destroyed the Chernobyl reactor, but then you keep it running at that level continuously. Sounds fun, doesn't it, eh? So yeah, the water is of course key to this whole process. Uranium at 20% enrichment doesn't undergo a chain reaction on its own because the highly energetic neutrons that come out of those fission events have a very low probability of triggering another fission event. But slower neutrons are much more likely to make further fissions possible.
Yep.
So the water basically acts as a moderator. Those highly energetic neutrons, they freshly liberated from a fission event, bounce around off the water molecules until they're moving around slowly enough that they can make more reactions happen and sustain your reaction. And this bouncing around leads to another trick that's in play in the design. So you want to keep this highly energetic reaction under control because, of course, the neutrons are bouncing around in the water. They actually get dragged along by the water flow, right? They're bouncing off the water molecules and that takes time, and so they end up getting pushed along. So if the water flow is fast enough, you can actually stop the neutrons running upstream into the rest of your engine, which is probably a good thing because you don't want a nuclear reaction running up inside your engine plumbing where you don't want nuclear reactions to occur.
They're saying that they've got rapid water flowing in. Something would have to drive that part of the system too, for the water to come from somewhere as well. So they'd have to, there's always other systems involved in it.
You kind of want to pressurize the tank, I guess.
Yeah, that or you use what they use now, where they use basically great big turbo pumps to pump the fuel into the reaction chamber. Same sort of principle would be used here, I suppose.
Depending upon how you do the math, you need to get the water moving maybe at around 66 meters per second. It could be higher depending upon how you do your math, but this is something that's sort of doable. It's not like supersonic water flows. Of course, that's about 240 kilometers per hour for those that are keeping track. But yeah, do that and the majority of the reaction will stay happening in the place where you want it to. So there's another way to think about this, and that is as a continuous thrust version of the Orion nuclear pulse drive. That's where you take nuclear bombs and you set them off close to a pusher plate and that pushes the spaceship along. But instead, you've got a continuous nuclear explosion happening. So to generate thrust effectively, you need to direct all this fire and fury. All these exploding gases need to be directed using a nozzle. But with the amount of heat and radiation, any unprotected physical nozzle would vaporize in short order. So the design has a layer of regular clean water running around the outside, and that acts as an insulating layer, protecting both the nozzle from the heat and the radiation. So, some numbers. The paper estimates that perhaps you'd only have 0.1% of the uranium-235 undergoing fission, which at 2% concentration salt, 20% enrichment, gives you 3.4 gigajoules per kilogram. That's about 900 times the energy density of TNT. And that translates to an exhaust velocity of about 60 to 70 kilometers per second, depending upon how good your nozzle is. That's about the same as the exhaust velocity from ion thrusters. But in this case, you're no longer limited by the tiny amount of power that you can soak up through those solar panels. So the sample design that was in the paper, it used an inlet pipe which was 6 centimeters in diameter, like that size, with a propellant flow of 200 kilograms per second through that, and this would generate a thrust of about 1,300 tons. That works out to a steady state power of 700 gigawatts, which, by the way, when Chernobyl reached peak power during its explosion, it was about 350 gigawatts for a fraction of a second. This is 700 gigawatts continuously, right? It's a non-stop Chernobyl going on. Now that thrust is roughly equivalent to 2 F1 engines that they used on the Saturn V. Those, of course, to do that, each required 2.5 tons of propellant. So if you only need 200 kilograms versus 5 tons, that's about 25 times more efficient, which is a nice step up. To be clear, you really wouldn't want to use this as the first stage to a rocket on the ground. It would spread nasty radioactive fission products all over the place. It would make the Rocky Flats nuclear facility cleanup look, well, easy in comparison. But in deep space, that radioactive exhaust is going so fast that it rapidly spreads throughout space and goes to almost zero concentrations. In fact, some of it is going so fast it will leave the solar system altogether. Now, if you were to say, look at SpaceX's Starship and then build a version with a nuclear saltwater rocket, same amount of propellant mass. Starship right now, in theory, gets about 8 to 9 kilometers per second of delta V. You switch it up with a nuclear saltwater rocket, you could get 150 kilometers per second. You could travel to Jupiter in a couple of months and come back in a couple of months using, single fuel load. It's quite amazing. To people thinking about the future of space, futurists and science fiction writers, the nuclear saltwater rocket is actually pretty attractive because there's nothing fundamentally about it that breaks the laws of physics. There's no obvious showstoppers that a bright student can point out. Sure, the simplistic sketch in the paper would likely to have a lot more complexity if it was turned into a real engine. You'd probably need neutron sources and neutron absorbers near the injection point that you could reconfigure to control the reaction. And, while pumping fluids at this rate isn't too hard, there's a question of maybe how you would power those pumps without adding lots of excess mass. But these are easy problems that we can think of. Indeed, it's entirely likely that there's fundamental parts of material science that simply can't deliver the kind of properties that we would need to turn a theoretical possibility like this into an engineering reality. But just say it could be made to work. Then the same paper did the math for a more powerful, more efficient version. Instead of using reactor-grade uranium, it used weapons-grade uranium, enriched to 90% uranium-235. And then it assumed more of the uranium undergoes fission. And in that case, something like this would have an exhaust velocity possibly over 1% of the speed of light. And then you'd be in the position to send spacecraft to other stars in decades rather than centuries. So, even if science delivers the ability to fly around the solar system in a few months by riding a continuous nuclear explosion, we'll still be able to dream of a sci-fi future where the ships could go faster still. I'm Scott Manley. Fly safe.
And this idea is not really dreamt of science fiction movies as such, this one. This idea is so separate.
Yeah. This is a possible, isn't it?
Yeah, like you said, it's got some pretty large engineering challenges in there, but nothing that can't be eventually solved.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be a tad warm in bits, isn't it? It's part of the problem.
And like you said, you're not going to see this sort of thing being used to launch things from the surface of the Earth. This is more like intersolar system, like interplanetary or interstellar sort of drive system.
Yeah. And it's going to have enough. It's one that you can leave running essentially for a very long time so that you can keep accelerating.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, 1G sustained acceleration would get you to Mars pretty damn fast.
I reckon it would.
About a day, I think, is what I figured. Half the time spent decelerating.
Yeah.
1G is not very much, is it?
Well, it's all because of that square in the seconds part of it. Yeah.
Well,
yeah. Yeah.
No, but I mean, like that one. When you look at acceleration in general, 1G isn't particularly fast when it comes to accelerating stuff, is it?
Ooh, add it up.
Oh dear.
When I was looking at maybe trying to engineer something that would make me go very quickly, I realised I only needed to be able to hit about 1.5 G, and it would get me to the speeds that I wanted to get to, and stop me in the distance I required.
Well, I've got a Wally or a Blue video left here to play.
Which blue one?
5 minutes of Flood Earth is scared of gravity. That's the only one I've could find. The short one.
Oh, that would certainly soothe my brain. How long's the Wally one?
I think they're both about 5 minutes.
Well, why don't we do both? Why don't we watch Wally and then finish off with the soothing tones of Big Blue, making us laugh.
Carl said Blue. No, we'll play both, Carl, by the look of it.
G'day everybody, where's Wally here? Well, today I was just wandering around the YouTuber net and I've stumbled into Nathan Oakley. Oh, shudder. But I saw he had a little bit of ranty butthurt, but it was kind of funny listening to his little argument. This is what I heard from the 18-minute mark of Nathan's show.
Got David Reed in the chat saying, "No, Ranty, the globe's a fantasy." And then he says, "Ranty said what? Ranty must have been joking, lol." No, it's not, from what I can glean. He's taken an age-old 2017/16 argument that revolved around a begging the question, proof of nothing, perspective hijacking Earth curve calculator that would ascribe feet and inches values to targets so that they don't change with distance. So it's back to the old Father Ted and Dougal routine.
Okay, one last time. These are small, but the ones out there are far away.
My God, I never thought it would come to this with Ranty. This cow is small. That cow is far away. So what does the Glober reply? How can this 2-inch toy cow obscure your view of the big cow? The big cow's bigger. Yeah, this cow is small. That cow is far away. Hashtag shit shrinks.
Well, it is good that you understand Father Ted, but of course you didn't actually talk about how big the second cow is, how far away the second cow is. All of these things matter. So do you actually manage to fool your little subscribers with this sort of nonsense?
I just don't know what to say.
I guess you do. You're still selling T-shirts. Anyway, I thought Ranty did this rather eloquently and rather clever and without doing any maths.
So when we go through that line of sight to there, we know that that mountain there is 601 meters tall. We know that that's 753 meters tall. And based upon that, you can then scale your ruler to that. So if you need to have your ruler at 601 and you need to have that at 753, and when you do that, you actually find that the horizon is way down here. And the missing, and I think I'd basically said that the horizon should be down around about here. It's around about 330 meters of missing.
So he just got his scene and he knew two heights at the distance of 750 meters and 600 meters. And he just got a good old scale measure and scaled it with 75 and 60. And look where the base must be.
I just don't know what to say.
It must be way down here below the ground. We know the horizon's not down there, don't we, Nathan? Well, not the close horizon. That's where the horizon is at the base of the mountains.
I just don't know what to say.
Look, I'll better put it in another way. Say we've got this big cow that's the size of a mountain over here. And we've got this little cow over here. Well, this little cow is almost hiding it. But we know that when the big cow's sitting over here, here's his head, and some of the cow is missing. Why can we not see his legs? Where are his legs? We know they're there because it's a cow. Just the same as we know the 750 metre high mountain must have a base. It's not a floating mountain, is it, Nathan?
I just don't know what to say.
Oh, and Nathan, the thing about this cow that must be truly scary for you, it looks a bit like the flat earth cash cow, and it seems to be disappearing. I'm not sure what that means for you and your t-shirt sales, mate.
I just don't know what to say.
Well, you're rather easy to debunk, aren't you, Nathan? Thanks very much. You can always leave a little comment for Nathan in my comment section, because occasionally Nathan does a drive-by. Classic Nathan. One comment and he's gone.
I just don't know what to say.
Pretty similar.
Pretty accurately, yeah.
Yeah. Now, as I say, I wouldn't have believed this. As I would have thought it was just a one-off. Maybe come up with trying to come up with some kind of explanation, some kind of reason, sinking something like this as to the reason why these mountains appear to be dropped. The problem being it isn't a one-off image, and we know that through Bev. We've been told categorically by Bev that this is a black swan and it's there all the time. I mean,
that's a white swan.
And I do want to thank Bev for that, but I also want to thank Stuart Christmas. Thank you so much for that, my friend. Thank you very, very much. I'll just take that off the screen because it's hiding your face there, Auntie, but thank you, Stuart.
Okay. It says, it's a white swan. I went there the last 2 days. It's perfectly normal. And, we can compare these two side by side. So let me open these up again so that we can compare them. And what's interesting is that in the image that Bev presented himself, you can still see the same trough behind Blackpool Tower. It's in exactly the same place. There's no denying that it's exactly the same heights, everything. So if I've got a flat earther confirming this, what can I say? It's drop. And that we know that there are people living at the bottom of that mountain. So they're either living at the bottom of the mountain underwater, or it's a globe. And I think that there are people living at the bottom of that mountain.
Yeah.
Yep.
He didn't quite get the quote in it though, where he did say. I wonder how much of these observations are going to the flat earthers are going to try to bring back out now, or is that going to be the end of it? Or they'll still try.
Well, they'll still try. They'll just ignore so much.
Yeah, well, we'll have that one as a baseline now from Randy, so that'll be the new black swan or white swan or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
Yeah, hashtag thanks, Bev. Well, I think we've just got enough time for blue before we finish up. I don't think I've seen this one. I've seen the other one that blue did it after this one, but not this one. Usual disclaimer.
Hey, hello everybody. Welcome to Blue Marble Science. Are these flat earthers getting worried about gravity? I'd say terrified is more like it. What's causing that? Well, it's this thing, of course. This is the Cavendish Experiment, and not only does it show the unmistakable attraction of mass to other mass, it also gives us a great way to measure accurately the universal gravitational constant. I mean, it's undeniable. When you watch what happens when those masses are moved in close proximity to one another, it shows up just like this on this graph, and you can see it real time. Every time we run it, 100% of the time. So, this gravity thing has really got them seriously worried, but, why is that? Well, let's take a look. Cavendish simply destroys one of the cornerstones of the flat earth religion. If gravity exists, then there is no dome necessary. If you don't have a dome, that means space and satellites can and will be real. Uh-oh. And that means that all of our photos from space are legitimate and flat Earth is dead. Yeah, I guess that's a good reason to be frightened. Now, what is flat Earth going to do about Cavendish? Well, I'll tell you what. They're going to try to discredit the experiment. Of course, that's what they'll do. And when they can't do that, they'll just attack me. And that's what they're in the process of doing now. So step one, let's misrepresent the facts. They'll claim that I don't know what I'm doing or I'm doing it wrong. They'll accuse me of somehow or the other cheating on all of these tests that you guys have watched live. They'll demand a bunch of unnecessary tests, and they will reject the test results no matter what. I mean, this is the only thing they have and the only thing they can do. Now, step two will be to launch into the personal attacks. And we all know how adept Nathan Oakley and Quantum Eraser are at that. But, when you don't have an argument, you just call the guy a bunch of names. And that's what they do. But beyond that, they'll now toss in no end of red herrings, like Nathan Oakley's latest gravity can't work because gas molecules don't stick together. Yeah, we'll get around to that one, Nathan. Believe me, we'll get there. And finally, they'll do everything they can now to try to justify their pseudoscience, relative density disequilibrium nonsense. We're going to wreck that little playhouse for you too, fellas. But the one thing you guys can't do is deny this. This is tracker software, and it's tracking the position of the torsion balance in the Cavendish experiment. This is a measurement that I ran last night. That would be April the 18th. Now this clock is inadvertently set for standard time, so it's actually 6:56 right now on that clock. But if you watch at 7:10, you're going to see this perfectly damped oscillation deviate substantially. And the reason it's going to do that is because that's exactly the time when I move the large weights, the large masses, to the opposite side of the enclosure. It is a clear demonstration of mass attracting mass, and there's not one thing in the world you guys can do to deny it. Now watch this. Right at the peak is where I moved it. Now the masses are on the opposite side, And look what the oscillations do. They move upward by about 30 millimeters on average. There's no way you can deny this, guys. This is mass attracting mass. You can make all the excuses you want to. You can whine and cry all you like, but you're not going to change the facts. Mass attracts mass. That is clear. That is irrefutable. So go ahead with your childish personal insults. That just simply means that you have no argument. You're merely admitting that you've already lost. That's okay with me. I don't really care. Hey everybody, thanks for watching. You're going to see some more of this very shortly. But in the meantime, I hope you guys enjoyed it. Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe buttons. Shout out to the patrons and PayPals who have been so generous in contributing to the Cavendish project. And I guess we'll see you guys on the next one.
I think it's game, set, and match for Flat Earth with that Cavendish.
Yeah, I think it is.
The thing that's great to see is just the way that the experiment's been carried out. I mean, it's a real scientific experiment. It's been done like a real scientific experiment, not like these half-assed things that the Flat Earthers attempt and try and call it an experiment.
Like a toe ball, a spirit level, a bit of duct tape, and
yeah, yeah. I mean, Riley's Cavendish was just a joke. That was just never going to work.
Oh yeah, that's right. I was going to show that.
Oh my god!
You know when you've really done it, Blue. When chemo's on there, and all you can do is whine and bitch about how long it's taken you to get results from when you started building the machine.
Yeah, the Tony Tub is an amazing device. Doomed from the start.
Yeah.
Just as you said.
Yeah.
I've looked at it a little bit to see how you can make that do something. And it would be possible, but you can't do it the way he's doing it.
And you wouldn't be able to get anything reliable out of it.
Well, the movements are so small. People don't really understand. They look at what I'm doing and, okay, well, I've got a damn webcam sitting there. You're basically looking through a microscope at the end of that torsion balance.
Yeah.
And the thing is only moving a few 20ths of an inch. And it takes it 16 minutes to go from one, to make one complete oscillation.
Yeah. It makes me laugh. It makes me laugh, the people that set up this sort of thing in their living room by hanging a rope from the ceiling and attaching like a torsion balance with weights hanging from it, and looking for it to swing around in a room. I mean, and they claim that, everyone does the Cavendish experiment at high school, and as far as I know, not many high schools do the Cavendish experiment. It's not an easy experiment. It's not a simple experiment, and it's not that easy to carry out.
It's very delicate.
Yeah.
And it takes a great deal of care. You cannot be haphazard with this. There are so many things that could influence it if you're not doing it correctly. This thing here that you're looking at from Riley is just a joke. I mean, really, you're only talking about that beam oscillating maybe 3 or 4 millimeters.
Yeah,
that's all. And are you really going to stand back 3 feet away from it and see a 3 millimeter oscillation over a period of 15 minutes? No, you're not. It takes some instrumentation of some sort. Cavendish was clever enough to figure out how to do that with You know, and that really was I'm sure the driving force in his mind behind making a balance that was 6 feet long, so that he would have enough movement at the end of the damn balance that you'd actually be able to see it and measure it with any degree of accuracy.
Yeah, and using the verniers and the telescopes to pick up that small movement. Yeah.
Yeah. And when you do it with these little short coupled ones, the little benchtop ones, you know, that they use in colleges, like the one I used back in the day. I mean, you're not going to see that thing move. If it's not for the mirror and the laser, you're just pretty much shit out of luck.
Yep.
How far is the mirror to the wall where you've got the ruler, Blue?
My laser is situated. Well, my target is 10 feet. 10 feet from the mirror.
So you've effectively got a 10 feet long torsion bar.
Yeah, you got the actual, you know, the actual torsion bar is 2 feet. The distance is 10 feet. So you got a multiplication factor of 5 right there. But you double the movement just because you're reflecting the thing off a mirror.
Yeah.
So I get 10 times, for every millimeter it moves in reality, I get 10 millimeters of movement up there on the target. Now, it's not impossible to read the vernier. I can, and I've done that a time or two, just to convince myself that the Cavendish really, just to see how hard it would have been for Cavendish to pull that off. And I can tell you it's damned hard. It takes a lot of concentration. You're trying to meticulously figure out when the thing has reached an extreme, and that's hard to do just staring at it. Pretty easy when you got software that tracks it, you know, and you plot it out. Oh yeah.
Yeah. I mean, Cavendish would have given his left nut for something like that.
Oh no shit.
I can start it going and leave it running, and it'll calculate it all for me. Yeah, could you just imagine bringing Cavendish back and showing him Blue's version of it?
I think he would approve.
Oh God, yes.
They'd probably want to know why my balls were so little, but
and shiny.
Yeah, and shiny. I could explain that though.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did he think about the electrostatics of the grounding effect of the, like what you did? Did he have that, anything like that written in his reports?
No, he never talked about it. He actually never talked about it. I've got theories about why it affected me and didn't affect him, which may it's a plausible explanation. Wood is not necessarily a very good insulator when it gets damp, you know. And he had his sitting on 4 chunks of wood that were driven in the ground, apparently. That was his 4 support points. So, and I doubt he put any finish of any sort on anything. And me, just trying to make it pretty, I went and put tung oil finish, which got a little polyurethane in it. On that thing, and I think as a finish cured, I just generated a really high resistive surface. You know, perfect spot for static electricity to sit.
Yeah.
Cavendish probably got away with it just because he maybe didn't have any finish of any sort on it, and the wood just retained enough moisture content that it never became a problem for him, and it didn't affect mine either until I started noticing it as I was playing with it initially. And it seemed like it was getting worse and worse. And then I ran a few tests just to confirm that that's what it was. And the solution's easy. Every Cavendish that they make nowadays, any new one has got some form of electrostatic shield built into it. So I just put the copper foil in there and that took care of it.
Yeah.
these unexpected things happen.
Oh, but you've got to do it in a vacuum now, Blue. That's the final criteria.
Yeah. Yeah, I've heard all that. They do it in a vacuum.
Why? Because I'm going to say why? Because the air inside that box is pushing it around.
Yeah, well, that was one of the things I reckon.
Yeah, they've been doing Cavendish, the Cavendish style torsion balance measurement in vacuum chambers or vacuum enclosures for a long, long time.
Yeah, they've been doing it for long enough to know. They've been doing it for long enough to know that if you don't have the vacuum very high, it can actually negatively affect the experiment. You've got to actually have a really good vacuum or no vacuum at all. If you have just a partial vacuum, it can actually negatively introduce an error into it. Yeah.
Yeah. Yep, exactly. So for the highly precise measurements, they're done in a high vacuum typically.
Yep.
But those are the guys that are trying to get, the fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh significant figure. I'm happy if I get the first two right. In fact, I'm damn delighted if I get the first two right.
Yeah, I reckon
I'm quite impressed with what you've got so far. That's astounding what you've done.
I'm still analyzing the data, but it looks like I'm probably within maybe 0.7% of the accepted value.
That's pretty good.
It's not too bad for
yeah,
it's not too bad for a homemade deal.
So any more
It's about what
plans
Cavendish
for,
got.
any more plans for writing it up and getting it published?
I'm absolutely going to write a little paper on this, but I haven't started doing that yet. Need to get it finished with a few other little things out here. I think I'm going to invest in a couple of sacks of sand, play sand, which I can use in my garden. I'll get a couple of 50-pound bags of sand. We'll see if we can use those in lieu of the lead balls. See if we can figure out if the torsion balance is attracted to bags of sand.
Yeah.
Bag of sand.
Yeah.
Oh,
And then I can claim, then they'll be able to claim that I'm sandbagging them, right?
Oh, okay, sandbagging. Well, we'll leave it there, Alan, I think.
Yeah, I think that's a decent enough length show today.
Okay. Anybody want to get anything else off their chest before we go?
No.
Okay.
I had a good stream with Dr. Bob last night. So
yeah, I heard that.
It's about
I listened to it earlier this morning.
Yeah, it's about an hour and a half long, and we had a good discussion about our friend Quantum Eraser.
Yeah.
Doing exactly what I said in this video we just watched. Doing exactly what I said he'd do.
Yeah. Pretty much half of it, what he said was just plain old name calling.
Yeah, that's all. That's all. And he got almost everything wrong.
Oh, yeah.
I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe he's objecting to the use of presupposition as opposed to supposition. Excuse me?
Yeah.
Does the man not know how to do Google search? But anyway, yeah, give that a watch, guys, if you get a chance. I think it was interesting for me. That's all I got.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was going to say, I thought the whole idea was that you looked at something and you might have two different options of how it would work. So you would look at it and you would make suppositions about what would happen if this was if option A was the case, and then you would look at it and say, and this is what we would this is what we would observe or get if option B was the case. You suppose that make suppositions about that, and then you go out and test them and find out which set of suppositions are correct. But apparently you're not allowed to do that because that's all presupposition.
The video you did with Bob, that's not on your channel, Blue. I can't find it.
Very first one.
The last one that came up was 3 days ago. It's not showing up a day ago.
It was a live
Showing
stream.
up on
It
mine.
might not have. It was a live stream, but so maybe it hasn't quite finished
No, it's
doing
comes up
live
on mine.
streaming this.
Yeah, it's not coming up on my end on the channel for some reason. Go to the home thing. See if it comes up. No. Not coming up there either. Yeah, I don't know why I'm not getting it on my end.
BMS.
Yeah, definitely not coming up. I go to videos, so I can show you on.
Here, I'll put it in the YouTube chat.
Okay, yeah, you're gonna have to for me, Blue. I thought I would have had it here. Click on the video tab. Yeah, I did that, Death. So people in here can see that it's got this one from 3 days ago, 4 days ago, and 5 days ago. That's all there is.
Go back to
And
home.
then a week ago.
Or refresh the page or something. It's not going to be down there. It'll be the very first one. I don't understand that.
Yeah, it's not coming up as the first one. It's the last one that came up. Yeah, it's a weird one. Oh.
That's not what mine does.
Nope.
Yeah, I have to say, I am also only seeing. It is set to public, is it? It's not set to.
Yeah, set to public.
Yeah, Pondle's saying the same thing. Can't see it on Blues or Bob's.
Oh, maybe it hasn't finished rendering it yet or something.
Hmm. Yeah, there'd be some reason.
Although,
Will it even
Well,
be
let's see
over in
how it's
Shul? It would have even come up in Shul Your Shit as well, but it.
No, it's set to public.
Oh, okay, I got Bob's. Be very quiet hunting satellites with Bob. Not that one, is it? That's Bob's satellite one. No, it's not come up in Shul Your Shit.
That's weird because, like, I listened to it on my phone earlier today, and it come up in my notifications.
Okay, we have to look into that. See what's going on. But the link's in the Peanut Gallery, guys. For Blue posted it anyway, so. Oh well, we'll call it quits now. Oh, thanks, Alan, again for this may be your last stream with me on your channel, if everything goes right.
when do you get your channel back?
It should be the beginning of May, so that'll be next Saturday. From next Saturday onwards, so I'll have to make sure I get that sorted. Well, thanks for your questions, Paul. They were getting better. Not worse.
Getting better. What do you mean by better or worse? What does better mean and what does worse mean?
Well, for me they're better because I'm slowly starting to understand some of them.
Okay.
But not worse as in they're getting harder.
Oh, I'm getting you trained then.
Yeah. Well, thanks Blue for dropping by. Who do we have out the peanuts?
I've just remembered something because it is in the it's in the title. I don't think it's quite midnight where you are, is it?
Not quite.
Not quite.
But I was going to say, remembering you all on ANZAC Day.
Oh yeah. It's tomorrow for us.
Yeah, I mean it's half an hour or so, isn't it?
Death said Alan's tired of you too. Yeah, he's had enough of me, dude. Stewie was out there, Fondle, Carl, Dora. I've got to scroll up. Who else do I remember? Stewie, Elmigs. I said Death. There was other people there earlier. I think. Oh, John Stock was out there. I'll scroll up. Beagle.
Yeah.
I'm still scrolling.
Oh.
Oh,
yeah,
we've got a dumb.
To see you had a headache.
And we've got a dumb Jezza. Oh, Fred Bailey. Fred was out there. Oh, I see an M2M. I don't know who that is.
Yeah.
I don't know who M2M is. I haven't seen that name before. Demon Orb. Yeah, that's as far as I can go.
He's been. M2M's been before because he was blue when he got here.
Okay. Yeah.
Oh,
Phil was here. Dora said Phil. Phil was here.
Yeah. Well, he came and joined us on the panel, didn't he, for a minute?
Oh, well, I have to shout out to Dora now because Dora said Phil was here, so I have to say Dora was here. A cast of thousands.
Oh, M2M is Casual Spacebar.
Oh. No, Space Matt. I call him Space Matt.
Space Matt, sorry.
Yeah. Someone hasn't smashed your thumbs up button thing. How many you got? 13 out of 21. Well, they can hit the thumb up or the thumb down. Doesn't matter to you, does it?
No, I don't mind. Interaction's interaction, isn't it?
Yeah. There we go. Oh, well, as usual, we'll go over to Discord. I'm not supplying cake and cookies this time.
Oh, Terry, you got to supply cake and cookies, mate. Jaffa cakes, that's what we need.
Oh, Jaffa cakes. Okay. Nope, you got 16 now. Jumped up a bit. Alright then. I'll wind it down. Anyway, night panel. Night peanuts.
Peanuts.